100%. It used to freak me out. My grandmother had her hands everywhere, and then she would turn around and have them in all the food she was making, and it's like, nope. It is what it is. I will only eat red veggies raw. Oh yeah, raw. I can't eat. Listen, guys, don't get weird here. You don't eat raw chicken. You don't eat
Ew.
raw veal, raw pork. None of that. Don't. But the beef, yeah, it was okay to do the beef. It was one of them things. 100%, Charlotte. I agree. I love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Um, my wife is grossed out completely. Like she's like, "There's something wrong with you. You're gonna get worms. Stop doing that." Because if anytime she'd be making meatloaf or anything with meatballs, any of that stuff, I'd walk by and grab a hunk. Stop doing that. You're gonna get sick. No, I'm not. I'm fine. And raw steak. Oh my god, I love it. Love it. She used to call me a vampire. Did she remove the malaki? Oh my god, olive oil, the evil. Oh god, I love it, Rose. We're gonna be best friends now. Not too many people know all this stuff. I love it, and I know a little bit about the other side, the Slovenian side. Dobre notes and the Stada Baba and all that stuff too. Not as much as I know the Italian side, but the Italian side had the better food. I'll just put it that way. The parasite. See, that's the same thing my wife says, Sherry. Same thing. She's like, there's worms and there's bugs and this. And I'm like, no, there's not. Yeah, I forget about it. What about the cavemen? They used to eat raw fish and meat all the time. He's like, you ain't a damn caveman. Shut up. They ruined the flavor, Stormy. If you cook a steak all the way through, like well done, that's gross. It doesn't taste like anything. It tastes like a piece of shoe leather.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy. Forget about that. No way. You do not ask for steak sauce either in my house. That ruins it too. That ruins it too. I'm sure there probably is, Sherry, but whatever.
I can't eat it straight up raw. I can do medium rare. But
A1.
just...
It comes from the way the cows are. Yeah, I know. She's right. She's right. You guys, I get it. I know, but it's just a habit thing. I've always done it since I was a kid. My grandmother used to start. She started it. She feed it to me that way, so it became like like a wild animal. I'll get that taste for blood. There it is. You're turning me into a damn vampire, Grandma. I'm Norwegian. We can smoke or salt anything. But yes, that's true. I dated a Norwegian girl one time. Her family pickled everything, and I mean everything. It was kind of weird. No offense to you, Angel, of course, but smoked salmon. Have you ever had pickled salmon? It's not very good.
Trish.
Very weird. I quit eating steak sauce when we were out to eat, and my knife slid across my steak and splattered the. Oh wow, that would be something. Yeah, that would suck a little.
Oh, that's really good, Rose. I can do that all day, every day.
Smoked salmon, hell yes.
Mm-hmm.
I love smoke. I smoke about everything in the summertime that I can because I have my grill as a smoker as well as a grill. I don't use gas. I use charcoal and wood. I hate using gas. You don't get any flavor on it, so I cook everything over charcoal and wood. And I smoke everything because my grill works both ways. It grills and smokes at the same time. Smoked herring, pickled herring, yes. I've had all of those. My grandfather used to eat them all the time. I don't know what his deal was. He would eat pickled herring and Limburger cheese with crackers. Mm-hmm. That'll suck your face up. Yeah. Steven, hanging out with Mama Bear.
Thank you, honey.
Guys, pop on over to Mama Bear. Say hello. Give her a hug. Whatever you got to do. Eat some pickled herring over there. I don't know. And hit the like button, guys. She's over there all by herself. Her and Steven now.
Well, Wisdom's over here.
Oh, well, yes, of course.
She's my mod.
Moderator. The moderator. Cedar plank salmon is the shit. Critical. I love it. Love it. Love it. I love salmon in general. I make pretty good salmon myself. Okay. Thank you, Miss Sherry. All right, guys, here we are. Finally starting it off. 31 peeps in the house. 20 likes. I know I just drug you through that, but you could Pretend like you like me, please. I didn't know you were in Michigan too. I'm in a Cadillac. Cadillac, the cars. I've had 3 of those. I love them. Beautiful cars. Beautiful cars. You guys are both in Michigan? Sweet. Thank you, Wisdom, again. Okay, guys. Grand Rapids. Oh, I got a story we're going to be hitting, Trish. I like you. I like you too, Cap. I'm glad you like me. That helps things out, Cap. But knowing that you like me, that makes things okay. I like you too, brother. Very much so. Um
And hiding it, or mayor even quit because it. Oh,
hiding what?
I don't know.
Talking about the water stuff and cat. That's the only thing about Michigan I don't like. My buddy, that's where Popper's from, Michigan. Hey, Moonlit, good to see you. I feel bad for you guys up in Michigan now. Well, mostly the people in Flint that had to go through that water bullshit. That was crazy.
Yeah, Trish said they have PFAs in the water and lead all over in the city of Grand
It's
Rapids.
horrible. The water was killing people.
Hello, Moonlit.
Right. Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. It's just not good. Dan was well, Popper. His real name's Dan, but he's like my number one first mod ever. He's still a mod. He did security, blah, blah, all that crazy stuff in the background. Anyway, he doesn't live in Flint, but he knows all about that stuff because of where he worked before, I think, and was telling me some stories about the water stuff, and it was like, damn, how? Yeah, that thing, I watched that too, Cap. 2 of them actually, and they're just, it's like, how did they get away with this stuff that they've gotten away with? Guys, the link, by the way, the link is pinned in the top of the chat there. If you click that, it'll take you over to Mama Bear's side. You can hang out over there if you want, because we're all here together. It doesn't matter. You hit the like button for her if you will, at the very least. Share it out. Subscribe if you haven't. Hit the notification bell, please and thank you. She appreciates it so much, and so do I. Okay. Miss Taylor's got true crime trivia going on. By the way, Molly caught one of those one of the, the Skyrod things we were talking about yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Molly caught one.
She did.
She did. And I was like, "You really caught one?" She's like, "Yep." SRB's not feeling good.
No, I forgot to tell you.
That's okay. Yeah, guys, Molly caught one of the sky rods. And I was like, wow. She sent me a picture of it too. I gotta tell you, I was impressed. There he goes. Said, "Oh my god, I caught a skyfish, aka sky rod," and I was like, "That is so cool." Check it out. So of course I had to say, "You do realize you're special, right?"
That she is.
She said, "Yep." It was. She's right. It's a rod in the sky. It makes me want to have a music night now. Anyway, holy shit! Thank you. Another one, Stormy. Another plane crash. Jesus, guys, unbelievable. All right, let's get some stuff moving here. 1 second. I think I'm going to start off with this here. This is the first one I found in here. Wait a minute. What did I just do there? Why is that doing that? There we go. I talk to myself a lot, you guys. Sorry. AFK 80,000 documents came out this. Oh, wow. Holy shoot. All right, guys. We have missing Dusty Milburn. This is out of Indiana. Last known location was Indianapolis. It's listed as endangered missing since October 24th of 24. What we know is he's a male, age 36. At the time that he went missing, 120 pounds, 5'10". Hair color was a blondish brown, light blue colored eyes, and last wearing they do not know. He was last seen in Fountain Square, south side of town in Indianapolis. The IMPD is asking the public for help in finding a missing Indianapolis man. Police say Milburn is known to frequent the area of East Pleasant Run Parkway, stretching from Crutchman Avenue to Prospect Street, commonly around
That's supposed to be Churchman. They spelled it wrong.
Churchman. Sorry, I was
Not
wondering
your
what
fault.
that
It's
was.
whoever did the flyer.
Right. Around or under the bridge. He has also been seen near East Raymond Street, South State Avenue, as well as South Keystone Avenue and Prospect Street. Outreach programs familiar with Milburn say that they have not seen or heard from him. Milburn is reportedly unhoused and is commonly seen panhandling, according to police. He may also be in need of medical services. The case number on this is IP2401085884. For tips and info, please contact the IMPD Missing Persons Unit at 317-327-6160 or call Crime Stoppers of Central Indiana at 317-262. Tips or 8477. And thank you, Mighty Monsters, for putting that out. All right.
Those are some rough areas.
Yeah, right. We also have next up, looks like Martha Maya.
Yay.
Mejia. Hispanic female, 50 years old, 5'3", 132 pounds, black hair, brown eyes. Last seen in the Graham area. This is Pierce County Sheriff's Office out of Washington posted this. And I don't have a number, I don't think, here. Hold on. It might be a little too big. Yeah, it is. Okay. Still, it's not there. But if anybody has any information on Martha Mejia, please contact the Pierce County Sheriff in Washington. I do not have a number, guys. My apologies. All right. Next up, I also have Angel Murguia Martinez, last seen February 14th of 2024. He is a male American Indian, or Native American, I'll say. I said American Indian on there, but I'll put Native American. 24 at the time he went missing, brown hair, green eyes, height and weight 5'8", 250 pounds, missing from Ukiah, California. Based on the fact that Murguia Martinez is an indigenous person, CHP ENTAC was notified and a feather alert was issued. Murguia Martinez was last seen wearing a black zip-up hoodie, black pants, black shoes with a gray hat and glasses. If you have any information in regards to Angel, please contact 707-463-6262 or dial 911 or the Ukiah Police Department. Thank you guys so very much. Okay. Let's see here. And I found a way to get more of these now that I fixed my Facebook and stuff. So we're going to be seeing and getting more of these. Plus, I'll be able to have the found safe ones to put out and show you guys the updates on those too. I'm working on it, guys, little by little.
Molly, honey.
There's the Molly. There's the Molly. Okay. Let me see here. You guys, this was put out
How you don't dox me?
on the 12th of March. Welcome, Don't Dox Me. Good morning, Molly. Good to see you today. I showed everybody the sky rod you caught, Molly, and told them how special.
You're watching Fox 13, and the 10 o'clock news starts now.
Good evening, I'm Allie Corey.
And I'm Mark Wilson. So glad to have you with us. First up here at 10, the family of this 17-year-old just wants him home. He's been missing now for 10 days, and St. Pete police are concerned for his safety, as are his entire family. Fox 13's Genevieve Curtis is live where he was last seen along 62nd Avenue Northeast. Hi there, Genevieve. I know there's a large effort underway to find Alister. Tell us more.
Yeah, absolutely, Mark. I mean, this is the area where Alister Nasser was last seen just 10 days ago. And you're right, there is a huge community effort to try to find this high school senior. Today, I met his brother and his mother. You can tell just how much they love him, they miss him, and they want to bring him home safely.
Let's put it facing the direction where they're going to come from.
Alister Nasser flew home from college at Virginia Tech to help his parents find his best friend, his little brother Alister.
We're really concerned about his safety and his overall mental well-being during this time.
Alister, a high school senior, is supposed to be graduating in a few months to attend UF and study engineering. He left his home on his bike on March 1st and was last seen on church surveillance video along 62nd Avenue Northeast and 1st Street North. St. Pete police detectives say they've traced cell phone data and used drones to search a wooded area behind Canterbury School near Shore Acres.
So there's been a lot of neighborhood canvassing throughout that neighborhood, Ring doorbells, surveillance systems to see if we can find a better location.
These images are some of the last known sightings of Alister. His family, friends, teachers, and neighbors have searched tirelessly for the teen, handing out thousands of flyers.
We've also been trying to go to houses to get Ring cameras and their dash cam footage. Just ask them, hey, could you check those out?
His older brother, Zach, is in school in Colorado and sent this message to Alister.
Remember the times that we laughed, played Minecraft for hours on end, and always promised to have each other's backs. That still holds true today.
Above all, his family just wants him to know how much he's missed.
We really love you a lot, Alister, and, come home. I've been sleeping in your bed since you've been gone.
You really just get a sense of how tight-knit this family is, but also this community. The family told me they have received enough donations to be able to offer a $20,000 reward to anyone who is able to give them information on where Alister may be. Reporting live in St. Petersburg, Genevieve Curtis, Fox 13 News.
All right, so that was put out. I got that on the 12th. I just now seen that. So
Roar said, I live in Florida. This has not been on our local news. St. Pete is 45 minutes away.
Well, I think they found him at this point. That's the problem. And I think they found the body in the Weeden Island Preserve. And I think that ended up being him. So give me a second here. Yeah, hold on. I think this is it. So I just now saw that, unless it was put in there. I don't know when, but.
Breaking news as we come on the air. A teen missing for weeks out of St. Pete is dead. Police and family just confirming this heartbreaking update in the last hour. You're watching 10 Tampa Bay. I'm Emerald Morrow.
And I'm Dave Wagner. They say the medical examiner confirmed a body found deep in the Weeden Island Preserve on Friday is 17-year-old Alister Nasser. 10 Tampa Bay's Asha Patel joined.
Yeah, this is him. This was just put up 18 hours ago, so this is just sad to me.
Just live, and Asha, we got this sad update from the family.
That's right. Just an hour ago, Alister Nasser's mother contacted us to let us know that the body that was found here was her son, her youngest son, Alister Nasser. Now, he's been missing since the beginning of the month. On your screen is the text message his mother, Sandra, sent us saying it is with profound sadness that we share the heartbreaking news of the passing of our youngest son, Alister. He was a kind, loving, and gentle soul who never raised his voice to anyone, a devoted son, brother, and grandson who brought warmth and kindness to all who knew him. The statement went on to say how she's thankful for everyone who helped in this search. I spoke with We Are the Essentials, who was in touch with Alister's family.
There's thousands and thousands of acres in Weeden Island. And that was a place that I know that he had liked to go previously. And that's, his family had let us know that they used to go hiking there as a young child.
Now, to give you a brief timeline, Alister was first listed as missing, then endangered. Then last week, his bike was found in this area. And then on Friday, his body. At this time, his family is asking for privacy. I'm reporting live from Pinellas County. Ash Patel, 10 Tampa Bay.
Wow, that's so sad. Not the way I like to see this stuff ending. Unreal. Every day. Okay.
Did they say what happened? Was it accident or
Not yet. They probably have to run the autopsy and stuff before they can put anything out.
Yeah, true.
Okay. Very, very hard. Feel so bad. Prayers and thoughts to the family, of course. One moment. Now, I know most of you guys have probably been following this. I haven't talked a lot about it. When she first went missing, I put it out there. But it's starting to get a little interesting. I'll say that much. And they still haven't found her yet. But I'm going to share some updates on this.
Have ramped up their efforts by air, sea, and land to track down a missing American student, Sudiksha Konanki, in the Dominican Republic. The 20-year-old University of Pittsburgh student went missing 6 days ago during spring break. Joining us now is Toby Braun. He's live with us, a seasoned private investigator who's specializing in missing persons cases. He's also the founder of American Special Investigative Group. Toby, thank you so much for being here with us for a story that is so important to so many people, touches so many lives, even if you don't know this young lady and her family personally. So there are multiple agencies from the Dominican Republic and the United States that are now involved in the search. In your experience, what challenges do these search crews normally run into in a situation like this?
Well, first and foremost, thank you for having me on this important story. So, well, first and foremost, so the sheriff's office, the Loudoun County Sheriff's Office, just filed an Interpol a yellow notice, which is essentially a notice that goes out to all agencies internationally, all law enforcement agencies internationally, and that will allow them to really understand, to really broaden the search here, and to create a broader awareness of the fact that she is missing, in the event that she may have gone somewhere else. The FBI has now also joined, which is going to be a tremendous asset for the local authorities, which a lot of times in those countries, they're just not as resourceful as our law enforcement back home. And again, them joining is going to be a tremendous asset to that. But right now, there's just so many unknowns. Just the search area is extremely vast, because there's not only the water portion, the sea, also the inland portion. So there's canine dogs out there doing the inland portion, along with the local military and police departments, and now the FBI that's joined. And then there's also the maritime aspect, where they're now searching the seas in the event that she did drown, or there was any sort of disappearance in the water there. So it's a really vast area, and there's just a lot of moving parts. And there's also a lot of really suspicious circumstances here, and especially with some information that's recently come out.
Yeah, we see the red flag there kind of whipping around. The water appears to be really choppy. We always hear that the first 48 hours are the most important here. We're past that now, well past that. So is there still hope in this case?
Absolutely. There's always hope in the case. I've been part of missing persons cases. Some of them did turn out to be human trafficking cases. Some of them did turn out to be murder cases. Some of them turn out to be truly missing persons cases where the person just didn't want to be found. And some of these cases have spanned for months and even years. It was a big case I was part of where a girl was found 5 years after the fact. So, and I always emphasize to families, you have to remain hopeful. And as the family's watching this right now too, please remain hopeful. There is hope that she's found, and they have to really stay optimistic right now, while of course allocating all the necessary resources and helping where the family can help best, which is really spreading that awareness about her, and which can really help other people also to be motivated to make that phone call law enforcement. Because right now somebody may know something and they may not have come forward yet. So it's definitely very, very crucial for her information to get out there, her photo to be out there, and the more people that can know about the story, that know about the fact and how what she looks like, it's really going to help law enforcement in the event somebody may have seen something.
Yeah, and you just touched on how public awareness could be really beneficial here. If someone sees more about this, they could call in a tip that could be beneficial. But authorities are considering multiple possibilities here, including accidental drowning, voluntary departure. This is something that you just mentioned, foul play, or even human trafficking. You also mentioned that. Is one more likely than the other in a circumstance like this?
Every circumstance is obviously different. And in this circumstance, I will tell you, I don't think that she accidentally drowned, and I can tell you why. And perhaps it's a possibility. I'm not saying that didn't happen because we don't know all the facts. But based on what we do know, I don't think that's. I think that's the least likely of all the possibilities here. Reason being is, one, there was no reported high tide that day, and there was no reported rip currents that day, and the last report from this young adult that she was last seen with, and his story has changed multiple times now, was that she was seen knee deep in the water. And for someone, her age, healthy, to drown in pretty much just still water, and you're being knee deep, it's just very, very unlikely. There's also the interesting fact that her clothing was just found, I believe it's about 8 hours ago or a little more than that. At least that's when the first reports of that came out. So the fact that her clothes are found on the beach not only tells me that the relationship that she may have had with this individual that she was last seen with going on the beach is something much deeper than we may think it is. But it also tells me that they likely did go in the water, and there's maybe perhaps something else occurred there that hasn't been that this individual maybe hasn't told us yet, and all these circumstances right now are just extremely suspicious. But really, we have to go with the most plausible theory here, which is the fact that this individual, either he may have something to do with it, or he may have information that he either hasn't revealed yet, or information that hasn't been made public yet.
Well, Toby, thank you so much for joining us today. Toby Braun, seasoned private investigator. Thank you for joining us in the story regarding Sudiksha Konanki, a university student, a Pitt student missing in the Dominican Republic that so many people are watching. Thank you.
Thanks for having me on.
There are new developments in the disappearance of University of Pittsburgh student Sudiksha Konanki, who went missing on spring break in the Dominican Republic. Authorities have now confiscated the passport of 22-year-old Joshua Reby, a senior on vacation from St. Cloud State University in Minnesota. Reby was questioned for hours by the Attorney General on Sunday. Now, he is believed to be the last person to see Sudiksha alive, but Reby is not a suspect in her disappearance at this time. He is, however, being surveilled at his hotel and was further questioned again today. And now surveillance is giving us a clearer visual of the events of that night. First at the resort's bar, where you can see Konanki on the left in white with friends just hours before she was reported missing. The second spot shadow is Reby, who at one point is seen bent over and stumbling. Then there is this surveillance video of the two later walking to the beach together. Konanki's belongings were later found on a lounge chair at the same beach. Joining me now is CNN Chief Law Enforcement Intelligence Analyst John Miller. John, this is such a difficult moment for this family. And can you parse for us why Reeby's passport is being held if he is not a suspect?
Well, Laura, this was something that they did early on, which is, when they started questioning people and they knew he was the last one to be with her. For identification purposes, they looked at his passport and they said, we're going to keep this. That has given them the advantage to say, well, he is not in custody, he's not a suspect, he's not a person of interest, but they've had the insurance that he's also not able to leave as long as they hold his passport. And they've had a couple of detectives on him all the time, which means if he goes somewhere, they go with him. If he's asleep at night, they're outside because he is right at this point, a critical witness in the case. And because they have his passport and they're keeping an eye on him, they're not going to lose track of him.
And of course, everyone has to remember, this is not the United States. The same constitutional directives and plans are not available. And so how long they can keep him and withhold his passport from him is a question for everyone. Reeby also has been questioned by the Dominican National Police. It's happened more than once. Also by the Dominican Attorney General himself, and also by investigators from Loudoun County, where Sudiksha is from. NBC News actually spotted him with investigators at the beach. Why would they want to question him there, do you think?
So that's not the first time they have brought him down there. I've been in touch with investigators on this case over the last week and a half, and this is what we would call a walkthrough in a case like this, where you bring him back to the beach, and you want to get this very clear. So you take him down there and you say, all right, so listen, where do you think you guys went into the water? Can you walk us there? Can you point that out? How are you fixing that location in your mind based on what's here? Where was the chair that you say you went to sleep in? Where was the chair where you were initially took off your clothes, emptied your pockets, and left your belongings there? When you saw her walking at an angle in the surf up to her knees in the waves again, after you told us that you were able to pull her out where she seemed to be almost drowning, which direction was she going? What spot was that? They're trying to figure out, are we looking in the right places? Because we still have not recovered a body.
And of course, consistency. If they do have any suspicions, I'm sure they'll want to investigate further. We don't know. He is not named a suspect in this case. But if he is allowed to leave the Dominican Republic, could they force him back at some point? And of course, he and Reeby are both Americans. If he goes back to the United States, does law enforcement here pick up the investigation?
No, the Dominican National Police are going to be the lead in this investigation. The FBI has opened a case under the criteria that they are providing assistance to a foreign law enforcement organization to the extent that the Dominican government asked for that assistance. But you said consistency, which is an important point. The reason Mike Chapman, the Loudoun County Sheriff, sent two of his investigators from Virginia down to the Dominican Republic, where they have no jurisdiction, was for exactly that point, which is, they talked about the number of times he's been interviewed with his lawyer, two lawyers. Loudoun County interviewed him with his lawyer in the Dominican Republic and his father, but there was no translator involved. They asked him questions in English. He answered in English. So they said he was very forthcoming, that they didn't find any significant inconsistencies, and that they found him to be a credible witness. Now, the other thing is there were questions he wouldn't answer in the first interview. Simple questions like, how did all this make you feel? What was the statement you made about the girl when you got back to your hotel room? That was on the advice of his lawyer. So they still aren't sure where they are in this case.
John Miller, this must be excruciating for the family of Sudiksha. We just want to know what happened with their daughter and where she might be. John Miller, thank you so much.
Thanks, Laura.
The Loudoun County Sheriff's Office in Virginia tells CBS News the family of Sudiksha Konanki has requested that she be declared deceased. Konanki disappeared in the Dominican Republic earlier this month while on spring break. CBS News national correspondent Manuel Bojorquez is in Punta Cana with more.
Joshua Ribby has not been labeled a suspect, and U.S. investigators who interviewed him extensively tell me that he was forthcoming. But authorities here in the Dominican Republic seized his passport during this investigation. He's been confined to his hotel. Local media report that his attorneys have filed a petition to have him released, given that he's not been charged with a crime. Ribby was the last known person to be with 20-year-old Sudiksha Konanki when they were out on the waters in the very early morning hours of March 6th. He has told investigators that they were overtaken by a large wave, that he tried to save her and himself, that he got out of the water, became sick, and passed out, thinking that she was also out of the water, but not being 100% sure. We have also confirmed that her parents are saying at this point, they're asking authorities here in the Dominican Republic that she be declared legally dead.
Something is strange with this. Just saying, in my opinion, something's a little bit off with him and that story, in my opinion. But that's me. That's just how I think about it.
Given that the person last seen with her has been cooperating and no evidence of foul play has been discovered. As for Ribby's release, there is a hearing set for later today. Back to you.
All right, Manny, thank you very much.
Sorry, I didn't mean to do that. 1 second.
Of a missing college student, Sudiksha Konanki. Police in the Dominican Republic say her family is now asking to officially declare her
I agree, SRB.
Her body has not been found. Fox 5's Maureen Ume is live this morning at the Loudoun County Sheriff's Office with the latest in this search as well as the investigation. Maureen. So a couple of key points here. Authorities in the Dominican Republic have still classified this as a missing persons case. They have not called this a criminal case yet. It comes as Sudiksha Konanki's family is now requesting that authorities have her officially declared dead. They did send a letter to that effect. In the meantime, later today, a judge is expected to decide if Joshua Reeb, who was the last person known to have seen Sudiksha alive, whether he can leave the DR. He has been there since March 6th and actually before then. But since March 6th, he has been questioned by authorities. We understand he's been questioned up to 6 times since Sudiksha went missing. His passport has also been seized, but he has not been charged with the crime. A Dominican news outlet released new surveillance video of Konanki in the hours before she disappeared. On one of the clips, it shows her at a bar briefly stepping away before returning. Another one shows her walking through a hotel lobby. Now, according to Joshua Reeb, he and Konanki went to the beach the morning of March 6th and got caught in rough waters. He claims he saved her and then got sick from swallowing seawater, and then he passed out. He says when he woke up, she was gone. Authorities say the ocean currents were strong that night, and they continue to investigate this as an accident, but they're not ruling anything out just yet. On Friday, Reeb's parents released a statement expressing sorrow and solidarity with Konanki's family, emphasizing that Joshua Reeb has been fully cooperating with the investigation. We did speak with the local criminologist about this case, and she shared these insights.
It's much easier to want to believe that somebody harmed her, that she that somebody took this from her, as opposed to college kids being college kids with a tragic consequence. That makes it much closer to home for every single one of us who have kids or as a teenager or a college student.
Now, again, no charges have been filed in this case. Later today, again, the judge is expected to rule if Joshua Reeb can leave the VR. The investigation continuing. We did try to speak with officials.
Welcome, Ms. Paula. Good morning. Good to see you today.
They have not been able to verify whether or not the declaration of death request has been made or exactly where they stand in the investigation. We know they did go to the DR to assist in the investigation, but have since come back. But still ongoing, the investigation into this young woman's disappearance and exactly what might have happened to her. Back to you.
Has been 12.
Aurora said if it was salty and with the alcohol in the system, or they both had their drinks, toxicology been done. It takes a while for toxicology to come back. I'm sure we'll hear about that, but on him, I don't know what they've done on him, but they haven't found her. So there's nothing they can do at that point.
Right, but I still wouldn't have my kid declared dead yet.
We just talked about this the other day, and I think it has something to do with the investigation side of this and what they can get done and not. if you remember, Ryan Larson, we just recovered him the other day. Okay, not recovered, but recovered the story. And the mother was trying to have him declared deceased before the 5-year period of time came in to help her to have some more resources to be able to do certain things. And I think that's why these families do this. It's not because they want to think that they're dead, because that's the only way they can get certain things done, which is very sickening and saddening to me because that's just a hard thing to do.
Alicia, I didn't think of that, but yeah, it could be a religious thing too.
Yeah, that too. That's another thing because
Yeah, I
they
forgot
are,
about
you
that.
know, definitely different religion. And I do too, Trish. I don't know if it was an accident. I don't know if it was just because they were intoxicated, maybe, and he screwed up and doesn't want to handle it. I don't know. And I'm not going to attack him yet. Okay. I'm just going to say that, I'm a little suspicious of what he has said. I'll put it there.
Especially since his
So
story has changed so many times.
that's why that's exactly that was my next statement. So thank you once again. The other half of my brain here, the good half.
And I was honestly, I was telling Wisdom in the chat, I was initially thinking it was, an accident or
Yeah.
accidental drowning or something. But then when that guy was talking that there wasn't any reports of high tide and that she was in,
Yeah.
knee high
Right.
water and stuff, I was like, oh wait, I hadn't heard that. I was like, okay, that
That was me
changes that.
too. Definitely. So we don't know.
She's only 20.
She's just a baby. Such a beautiful little young girl too. You know what I mean? Had her whole life in front of her. And it does kind of remind me of the somebody said it in here earlier. What's her name? The woman that went missing at the beach. Good Lord. It was just said in here earlier. Where did her name go? Where did the name go? It just slipped. The one that Vandersloot was involved with.
Oh, I don't remember the name.
Jordan Vandersloot, the guy that killed the girl. What was her name? Oh my God.
Natalie Holloway.
Natalie Holloway. There we
Okay.
go. Thank
Thank
you.
you,
Oh, yeah.
Angel.
Yeah, it's quite similar in my opinion. I agree. Morning,
Hello,
horse.
horse.
Good to see you, and thank you, SRB, as always. Too appreciate you. Yeah, the Natalie Holloway case. This does have some of the same feels to it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and Aurora
Yeah,
said,
that's
or
what I'm
someone
saying.
drugged
Like,
their drinks at the bar and she was taken, which is very possible. Because as someone that takes prescription medication that is similar to GHB, it's a cousin to it. I mean, I can't, if I have any alcohol, I mean, we're talking NyQuil, because NyQuil has alcohol in it. I cannot take my medication because the two combined will suppress your breathing.
wow.
There are new.
So if she was drinking or drunk and they roofied her or whatever, then she went swimming, then I mean, yeah, something bad could have happened. She would
100%.
have passed out in the middle of the ocean uncontrollably and just
Right.
so.
Yes, ma'am. Welcome, Dakota. Wonderful to see you. And yeah, Cap, that's what I'm saying. It does kind of have that vibe to it. I agree with you. Let's see here. This just came out via CNN about an hour ago. They're saying, so I'm gonna show this too with it.
The Dominican Republic. Authorities have now confiscated the passport of 22-year-old Joshua Reeb.
And again, this may have some of the stuff we've already seen, but it may have something new as well. So,
A senior on vacation from St. Cloud State University in Minnesota. Reeby was questioned for hours by the Attorney General on Sunday. Now, he is believed to be the last person to see Sudiksha alive, but Reeby is not a suspect in her disappearance at this time. He is, however, being surveilled at his hotel and was further questioned again today. And now surveillance is giving us a clearer visual of the events of that night. First at the resort's bar, where you can see Konanki on the left in white with friends just hours before she was reported missing. The second spot shadow is Reeby, who at one point is seen bent over and stumbling. Then there is this surveillance video of the two later walking to the beach together. Konanki's belongings were later found on a lounge chair at the same beach. Joining me now is CNN Chief Law Enforcement Intelligence Analyst John Miller. John, this is such a difficult moment for this family. And can you parse for us why Reeby's passport is being held if he is not a suspect?
Well, Laura, this was something that they did early on, which is, when they started questioning people and they knew he was the last one to be with her. For identification purposes, they looked at his passport and they said, we're going to keep this. That has given them the advantage to say, well, he is not in custody, he's not a suspect, he's not a person of interest, but they've had the insurance that he's also not able to leave as long as they hold his passport. And they've had a couple of detectives on him all the time, which means if he goes somewhere, they go with him. If he's asleep at night, they're outside because he is right at this point, a critical witness in the case. And because they have his passport and they're keeping an eye on him, they're not going to lose track of him.
And of course, everyone has to remember, this is not the United States. The same constitutional directives and plans are not available. And so how long they can keep him and withhold his passport from him is a question for everyone. Reeby also has been questioned by the Dominican National Police. It's happened more than once. Also by the Dominican Attorney General himself, and also by investigators from Loudoun County, where Sudiksha is from. NBC News actually spotted him with investigators at the beach. Why would they want to question him there, do you think?
So that's not the first time they have brought him down there. I've been in touch with investigators on this case over the last week and a half, and this is what we would call a walkthrough in a case like this, where you bring him back to the beach, and you want to get this very clear. So you take him down there and you say, all right, so listen, where do you think you guys went into the water? Can you walk us there? Can you point that out? How are you fixing that location in your mind based on what's here? Where was the chair that you say you went to sleep in? Where was the chair where you were initially took off?
From my opinion, or my understanding, Stephen, yes, that he had to make a court appearance today. That's how I understood it. I could be wrong, but I think I'm correct on that one.
Your clothes, emptied your pockets, and left your belongings there. When you saw her walking at an angle in the surf up to her knees in the waves again, after you told us that you were able to pull her out where she seemed to be almost drowning, which direction?
And you know what, guys, with the story that he's told, that's where my mind is going right now. Because look at her. I mean, she's beautiful.
Going to court for habeas corpus. What is that?
I think so. I think that's what I had read.
Yeah.
So they were drinking, they were this, they were that, so on and so forth. And she's beautiful. Okay. So I'm sure any guy would probably try to talk to her. Maybe she didn't want that. Okay. And if they're out there in the water, there's maybe a couple shoves happened or something. He shoves her back, blah, blah, blah. I don't know. These are just absolutely purely speculative theories. But again, I don't know. I don't want to attack the guy at this point yet. Now, if it comes to find out, that's a whole different story. We can pull him apart limb for limb once we get some true proof. But at the point right now, he's cooperating. He's doing this. He's doing that. They're saying so. All I hope is that he doesn't get away with something that he may have done is all I'm saying.
Okay.
Angel says it sounds like they're not telling the public something yet. Well, they probably aren't because of the investigation per se.
Right.
And they probably don't want him to try to run either. If they put something out that they may have, then, I mean, he can't. He can, but he can't. He's not supposed to leave, but he could. And he could go somewhere else possibly. So I'm sure they're just trying to protect the integrity of the case if that's what they're doing.
Direction was she going? What spot was that? They're trying to figure out, are we looking in the right places? Because we still have not recovered a body.
And of course, consistency.
That would be beyond amazing, Aurora. That's one of the miracles that Cap has been talking about here happening lately. But my gut tells me that that's not going to happen, sadly. I pray you're right. I truly do. That's with every one of these cases like this we talk about. He told investigators they shared an intimate kiss in the water before he saved her. See, that's what I'm saying, Sherry. Something like that. He's building. It almost sounds like he's building a story about himself in the positive side of things. And it's like, well, okay, that's the narrative that you're going with. And let's see what that is. That's all I'm saying. So I don't know.
Him just going to the beach with her in that condition is being looked at as a crime.
Yeah, it is, because she should have been taken home and put to bed, period. She should have never went anywhere else. Nice to see you too, Miss Paula. It's always wonderful to have you here. What are you talking about, Angel? Oh, you're okay, Angel. Don't worry about it.
If they do have any suspicions, I'm sure they'll want to investigate further. We don't know. He's not named.
Sorry. Welcome, Mark. Just got here. Didn't the guy refuse to answer a few questions when interrogated by police upon request by his... I think in the very beginning, I think so. I think. Like I said, I've read a couple different articles, and I've heard word of mouth different things. So I don't know 100%, Mark, but I think you might be a little close to something there. Welcome, by the way. JC and good morning, dear. Welcome to you. Wonderful to see you today. Hope you're having a good day. We need one. Sebastian, every day I check. Oh, agreed, Aurora. I do agree. Wholeheartedly. Has anyone studied? I was going to bring that up too, Aurora. By the way that they're acting with each other. It doesn't... She could have been receptive to him to an extent. And, guys have a tendency... I'm a guy. I'm not all guys do this, but sometimes you get alcohol in a guy, and our brains are tiny compared to women's, guys. I'm sorry, men. Any guys out there? No offense to you guys, but women are the dominant ones as far as I'm concerned. They are the smarter ones, the more, the story. But anyway, we don't make good decisions sometimes, especially adding alcohol, and he may have taken her reciprocation of certain advances in a way that she definitely didn't want it and went further with that. And she, no. And that could have been a problem right there. You know what I'm saying? So watching the body language could mean something, but we don't get to see that body language when they're out in the water. There's the problem. If you're in the water with her sharing an intimate moment, how can the water current be an issue? That's a good point, especially when, would you say, Mama Bear, that it was what? Not even knee deep or knee deep, maybe? He refused to answer 8 questions out of the 50 and lawyered up immediately. Of course, I'm sure. Yes, tiny brains. Sorry, guys. I will not mean disrespect you guys.
I kept hitting the wrong damn button, and then I was talking to myself. And
you're okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
the private investigator in the other video said it was like knee deep.
That's what I'm saying. That's where it gets questionable. So,
Named a suspect in this case, but if he is allowed to leave the Dominican...
See, right here, they both seem okay with this, but we can't tell we can't see her face. We don't know that. And in the condition she's in, is this real or is this him taking advantage of her condition? And I've seen both. Okay. I've seen women do the same thing, taking advantage of somebody else's condition. And then something happens that really wasn't supposed to. And then there's regret. So I don't know. Maybe we'll find out. Maybe we won't. And that's true too. That's true, Mikey, that this guy had a girlfriend back in the States. So he was definitely playing the game. Oh, I'm sure they do, Angel. I'm sure they do. I'm positive almost. Demon, anyone who dresses like him is sus. Well, we can't judge people on their clothes, Demon. Now, come on.
Dominican Republic. Could they force him back at some point? And of course, he and Reby are both Americans. If he goes back to the United States, does law enforcement here pick up the investigation?
No, the Dominican National Police are going to be the lead in this investigation. The FBI has opened a case under the criteria that they are providing assistance to a foreign law enforcement organization to the extent that the Dominican government asked for that assistance. But you said consistency, which is an important point. The reason Mike Chapman, the Loudoun County Sheriff, sent 2 of his investigators from Virginia down to the Dominican Republic, where they have no jurisdiction, was for exactly that point, which is, they talked about the number of times he's been interviewed with his lawyer, 2 lawyers. Loudoun County interviewed him with his lawyer in the Dominican Republic and his father, but there was no translator involved. They asked him questions in English. He answered in English. So they said he was very forthcoming, that they didn't find any significant inconsistencies.
And that's the problem, though. I'm sure he's very forthcoming with his story. Is it the truth? And again, not to attack him, but we just don't know. So he's being forthcoming. He's telling them what he believes went on, and that's his narrative. There's no proof of anything other than what he's saying. That's the problem. Don't dox me. Welcome. Good to see you. No worries. I keep pausing it. Hopefully you'll catch up.
And that they found him to be a credible witness. Now, the other thing is there were questions he wouldn't answer in the first interview. Simple questions like, how did all this make you feel? What was the statement you made about the girl when you got back to your hotel room? And, that was on the advice.
Yeah, if you watch them walk right here, he's holding her up. She's kind of like swaying a bit, if you see it.
About the girl when you got back to your hotel room. And, that was on the advice of his lawyer. So they still aren't sure where they are in this case.
John Miller, this must be excruciating for the family of Sudiksha. They just
No
want
doubt.
to know what happened with their daughter and where she might be. John Miller, thank you so much.
Thanks, Laura.
The Loudoun County Sheriff's Office in Virginia tells CBS News the family.
Welcome, Miss Tomboy. Thank you for joining us. Let's see here.
Hey, Tomboy. That bird.
That's how she said she's going to start coming in here every day, is showing the bird. Now, so the guy said that he feels like he's that kid, whatever Reby, his name is saying that he feels that he's being detained illegally. I don't know about that.
That's why they did because he's not under arrest.
Right.
And that's why they're doing the habeas corpus thing.
Listen, dude, if you did nothing wrong, cooperate, do your thing, and you'll be free to go at some point. But see, when it's the people that I question when they start complaining about things like this and they get weird, they don't answer questions, that tells me you did something wrong somewhere. So either be honest or don't, but you're going to get caught either way. So
And in this article, it says Reby was peppered with over 50 questions last Wednesday and told a prosecutor that he and Konanki had kissed in the ocean before they almost got swept away by a wave.
You're standing up and down. The water comes up to your knees. You should kind of, even under the influence, you should be able to support yourself to an extent. Okay.
Even if it knocked him down, you get right back up.
Yeah. See, this here, I'm trying to watch these videos in the bar to see if there's some kind of an interaction with him that doesn't look healthy. You know what I'm saying? That looks like it may not be a good interaction at some point, or that he's being forceful. It's hard to tell because there's no audio and stuff like that. The cat lady's in the house. Good morning, ma'am. Wonderful to see you. Hope you're doing well. We've missed you so very much.
Well, hello. How are ya?
That's true too. Trish is right. That the ocean undertows are pretty strong. That's a fact. So yeah, I agree. I can agree with that. I wasn't thinking about that. Let me see this audio or this video here again.
Newly released surveillance video shows missing University of Pittsburgh student Sudiksha Konanki on the left with her friends at a hotel bar on March 6th, just hours before she was reported missing. To the right of the screen is 22-year-old Joshua Reby, the last known person to see Konanki the night she disappeared. At one point, Reby can be seen bent over and stumbling on the lawn outside the bar. The video appears to corroborate some of what Reby has already said, that he had been at the hotel bar with Konanki and her friends before, quote, someone suggests they go to the beach. Reby has since remained under police surveillance in his hotel room, his passport confiscated. He is cooperating with authorities and is not considered a suspect or accused of wrongdoing.
The search.
That's a good point, Critical. That could be. That could be. Yes, we've missed you so very much, Miss Cat Lady. 100%. I'm glad you're doing well. Molly said he gave the police an ultimatum. Interesting. Quite interesting. Also, let me show you guys this here real quick. Let's see if it'll let me open it. Hold on.
Demon said, I will be the bad guy here. This guy is not innocent. Does he regret it? Yep. But he is not innocent, in my opinion.
Very possible. Sorry, guys. Hold on. Where did that just go? I just had something here that I opened up and now it's gone. Like, this is driving me nuts. 1 second.
Wisdom said in the bar he was bent over. Maybe she walked out with him to get fresh air and wasn't interested in anything else.
That's very possible. That's what I'm thinking. That's what I was going, where I was kind of going with that, Wisdom, because, you know, and if she puts her arm around him, that, because like I said, guys are stupid. That he could have taken that as, oh, she's into me, you know, and especially on being intoxicated and taken something too far. Just saying, these are just theories, guys. I'm not saying this is what happened, but this is the wave. Molly sent me this, what the waves were that night, the height of the waves and stuff like that. It wasn't too awful horrible. Wave height and tide, March 6, 7, 3 a.m., 6 a.m. Where are we at here?
Cap wants to know what the temperature was that night there.
The temperature. Hold on. 1 second, please. This is wave height for the 6th, 7th day, and she went missing between 3 a.m. and 6 a.m.
Yeah, I think her friends had her phone.
It's not given any, it's not given the temperature here. I don't know, Molly, if you can find that with the rest of this, I would appreciate that since you put this together. The temperature itself, because I don't see it in here. Hold on, guys. Now, here's the other thing, too. Excuse me. Person of interest, Josh Reby gives DR, Dominican Republic cops, an ultimatum as they question him again in Sudiksha Konanki's disappearance. I don't think you're in a position to be giving anybody any kind of a ultimatum, sir.
Right.
That is something I have to agree with, Tomboy. I think just like with and I'm sorry anybody may be upset when I say this, but just like with the Riley Strain situation, anybody that when you go out and do something like this in a foreign place that you're not used to, you should all stick together and support and protect each other. You're all foreign in this place. So at that point, everybody should have been paying attention. People should have been being responsible. Somebody should have stayed completely sober, in my opinion, to be able to be a designated support person. Okay. And just saying, that's my opinion, but that didn't happen. Ray says, from what I'm reading, she did not have any very good friends. Well, see, that's sad. That is very sad. Moonlit says, I don't think it ever gets below 70 degrees. You're probably right. Excuse me. And repeatedly grilled by authorities in the Caribbean over the missing co-ed cannot be detained any longer without being charged. His attorney, Beatrice Santana, said in a motion filed Monday, basically stating, if you're not going to charge my client, you need to let him go. Authorities have not said that Reeby is a suspect in Konanki's disappearance or have any charges been discussed after he was the last person to see her alive in Punta Cana. But officials seized his passport, kept him holed up at the RIU Hotel and Resort as the investigation enters its 11th day. If he wants to leave the hotel, he cannot do that freely, but with police, Santana told ABC Eyewitness News, his passport is seized despite not being officially charged. According to Noticias SIN, a hearing on the lawyer's habeas corpus motion is scheduled for 2 p.m. Tuesday. That's today. That's the whole thing that he's got to handle today, you guys. So that's what's going on with this. This is very sad. Like, this shouldn't happen. People shouldn't be able to leave the country to take vacations, do things. Now I will say this. This doesn't happen every time somebody goes to another country or something, but you know, other countries, foreign areas that we're not familiar with, you got to be responsible to some extent. You can't just head somewhere that you're not used to, party your brains out, and think everything's going to be okay. You got to. That's why I said there needs to be somebody in these groups that is a designated support person that makes sure that everybody's doing the right thing, that everybody's okay, or a couple of them at least. And I know everybody wants to have fun, but in a foreign place, you just got to do something. Authorities in the Dominican Republic initially believed Konanki drowned, but said that they have not ruled out foul play. More than 300 law enforcement personnel are involved in the search for Konanki, including from the FBI and the U.S. Department of Homeland Security and deputies from the Loudoun County Sheriff's Office in the missing student's hometown in Virginia. That's about it, you guys. That's about it.
Molly said upper 70s.
Okay. There you go, Cap. It was in the upper 70s, which I imagine that's normal for. It doesn't really rarely get below that. So,
Demon said, so was he just floating in the waves in shock phase BS? Dude is in the wrong.
yeah, I get it. I get it. I see where a lot of people can see that. I'm just kind of waiting to see what law enforcement says. If you know, I have my feelings on this, but we don't know 100% for sure. That's all I'm saying.
Exactly.
There was security that walked around our resort at night, but not sure about the beach. Right. It's always been reported that they reuse liquor bottles. Some are laced with drugs. The true crime. I've heard that before, Cat Lady. That's true, guys. Especially over in like Jamaica, the Caribbean. I've been told that before. I have a friend that went to Jamaica twice, and both times he went there, he was warned, do not leave your resort ever. Of course, don't drink the water, and be very careful with the alcohol that you drink. And I was like, what does that even mean? He goes, that's what I said. He goes, but he said when he was there, he talked to people that told horror stories about where he was staying and other resorts in Jamaica. And I'm not saying that every place that you go is like that, but you got to be careful in foreign countries. People don't care about us in other countries. They really don't. So Molly said that the RIU Republica Hotel is an adults-only party hotel. Okay. Well, there you go. Angel said,
hey, Mittens.
Yeah, I know. The Riley situation was rough. Yes, 100%. Bottled only and hold in your hands. It's the same damn thing my buddy told me. Yeah, you don't set your drinks down. Ever. In any of these resorts. Do not do
Anywhere, period.
Well, that's fact here nowadays, too. But you just, whatever you have, you keep it to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you go in the bathroom, take it with you. So, Facts are facts, guys. So that's what's going on in Sudishka's case. It's a very sad situation. I pray to God that, there's some form of something positive outcome that comes from this. I know I don't think there's going to be, but yes, that's the other thing I was told. You guys must know these things, that they will make their own liquor and pass it off as being one thing or another, and it's not healthy, and they spike a lot too. Yeah.
Yeah, after I don't know if you saw the 8 or 9, I think it was in Mexico.
Where they found the bodies chopped up.
Yeah.
Yep.
I was like, I'm good. I'm staying right here in the United States.
Yep. I was going to talk about that last week, and I never got to it, and it's just the time lapsed on it. So, but yeah. This stuff is happening all over the place, and they are still doing organ trafficking in these other countries as well. This is fact, folks. There's many stories I've covered, and well, not covered, but I've covered one or two. Many stories that I've looked at and read about where people are waking up in foreign countries and they're missing an organ. And yeah, whether it be a kidney or a liver or a piece of this or a piece of that, and this stuff really happens over here. So you got to be careful. Period.
Trish, if you go to Cancun, go to a resort, stay on the resort.
Don't leave the resort. Period. And if you do go out, do it during the day, and make sure that you have somebody with you. Multiple people is a good idea, but yeah, you have to watch each other's backs.
Yeah, like Cap said. Even if you go to like the markets, it's scary because they
don't
flock
care.
to you and they're like, here, buy this, buy that. I'll
They know
wanna
that we will.
negotiate this and negotiate that, and
Yeah, and they know that we carry a lot of money in other countries, so they're looking to rob you. Excuse me. Yes, I do too, Stormy. I love my organs. People don't think that they are 100% safe on their resorts. Well, even on the resorts, Cat Lady's right, guys. Even on the resorts, it's dangerous. Some of the employees in there, they don't care. They're there for themselves. They're dangerous people. So they may befriend you, make you believe they're the nicest person on the planet. Guess what happens? You got to stay with people. 100% stay with everybody. Michelle Epple, welcome. Good to see you. Wonderful to have you here today, dear. And I think the sassy one just came in. Yes, she did. There she is. Good morning. Just got back from the dreaded Walmart, and you survived it. Thank the Lord. Good to see you, Miss Cass.
yeah, never travel alone.
No. Even here, guys, if you're going to another state, okay, stay with other people. I don't trust anything anymore here or in Jamaica, the Dominican Republic, in Florida. I don't care. Michigan, doesn't matter. The world is too dangerous.
And when I went on those trips, it was with my family, my parents and stuff, and that was probably in my early 20s. So we're talking almost 30 years ago. So it probably wasn't even that bad then. And we did Cancun 1 year, Bahamas 1 year, and Jamaica 1 year. So.
And all three of them places are very dangerous if you're not careful.
I think Jamaica was probably the scariest because there was people standing out in the water, like way out, like up to their knees, thighs. And I looked at my dad, I was like, why are these guys just standing there? They're not swimming, they're not talking to anybody, they're just standing there. He said,
They're
honey,
waiting.
that's international waters, and they're waiting for people to come buy drugs off of them. I was like, what?
Yeah.
That was a big eye opener for me.
Very true. Very true. Very
like,
true.
I'll go over here to the pool. I'll stay right here.
All right. Okay, let's see here. Hold on here. something came out last night I wanted to cover with you guys. 1 minute here. Where to go? Oh, this here, I think. Hold on. Okay, Law and Crime came out with something last night, in regards to the Idaho force situation. I wanted to review this, and I wanted to put a stance out that I'm holding to, guys, with this as well. Okay, this is in regards to there's things that were in the 911 call that Law and Crime is kind of reviewing and pointing out, and I like this. That's why I wanted to review this with you. And I also want to point out my stance on something with this. And everybody has the right to their feelings, their opinions, so on and so forth. Okay. That's absolutely what this is all about in here. We respect that. I'm going to say here first and foremost, this to me, from the depths of my heart, is a 100% true and real 911 call on both ends of it. I've seen a lot of people saying that this is fake. They're acting. They're this. They're that. They're not. No, they're not, guys. No, they're not. I've heard, working in fire and EMS and being a first responder, I've heard many of these. Okay. This is my opinion. Now, you guys will think what you want, feel what you want, but I'm telling you, I truly, wholeheartedly feel in the depths of my heart, this is real. There is real fear. Okay. There is true and real fear in the voices of these people. And I felt so bad hearing this. After I listened to it, the first time we listened to it the other night was when the news dropped it. And then I played it back many, many times. And then hearing this again, this is about as real as it gets, guys. And I've heard these before. And my heart kind of broke. Okay. I don't know what went on over that 8-hour period of time. I don't know why things happened or didn't happen, but this is trauma, folks. This is true trauma. This is real. And I had to sit back and go, oh my God, imagining what these are kids, mind you. Okay. We have all had children. Well, no matter what age they are that have children, of course, and they've been this age before, and imagining them having to go through something like this, seeing what they're seeing, it just was like, no. And I'll give you some other feelings of mine once we get through what they're saying. This is kind of interesting to an extent. So I understand you got me stumped. Welcome. I understand people are saying that they didn't bring up the blood. They didn't bring this up. They didn't bring that up. I get it, guys. And I have questions too about certain things, but I do not believe they're acting here. I've seen people say that, so on and so forth. I don't think that. Not at all. Because of the trembling in the voice. That's not something you can just pretend to do, in my opinion. That's very hard to act that way. And the shock and the trauma in the voice sounding too is what I'm taking. Now the 911 operator used that's real deal stuff and did very well with considering the call itself. So those are my feelings on this. Absolutely, guys. And I do not believe there was anything wrong done other than the fact that other people were called. Those things are the things I have questions about before 911 was called. Other than the feeling or the fact that it took 8 hours, I'm hoping that there's going to be a true or a real explanation behind that one of these days. Those are the things that bug me. But this here is 100%, in my opinion, about as real as you can get. Okay. And just imagine walking into this situation. And it finally made sense to me after hearing it for the 5th time, how this all went down. And there's some things that were heard in here that you don't clearly hear when we listened to it the other night. So that's what I was saying. It's kind of traumatizing. Okay. Especially
Trigger warning. Content may include sensitive or violent content not suitable for all viewers. Feel free to step out if needed.
And that's just in case, because this may bug some people, guys. I'm telling you. even with my experience and the things that I've encountered, it's still something that is not, it's not good to hear, because you know what has happened. You know what is going on. You know what went on. So, and all that stuff. So, well, that's good to hear. Thank you, Cass. Yeah, Molly, if you don't want to hear it, hon, you can step away. It's understood. I get it. All right. Let's try this again.
But there's more the transcript didn't pick up. I look at the clues the call reveals. I'm Anjanette Levy, and this is Crime Fix.
Thank you, Miss.
Xana, Ethan Chapin, Maddie Mogan, and Kaylee Gonsalves had been stabbed to death. A massive police investigation unfolded, and more than 6 weeks later, Washington State University PhD student Brian Koberger was arrested and charged with murdering Maddie, Kaylee, Ethan, and Xana. He faces the possibility of the death.
Now, I will say this, Charlotte. Charlotte says, I still think the roommates knew what was going on. I absolutely do believe that they knew something was going on. I don't know if they knew what exactly was going on, but I do believe that they knew and felt there was something very, very bad going on. Okay. Which is partly where my questions come into play. Again, I'm not condemning them. I'm just saying I have questions as to what was going on with those two when this happened, and why certain things didn't happen. That's what my questions are. But it's not that I'm condemning them. It's not that I think they did something horrible, or they were involved or anything like that. You know, I'm not saying that by any means whatsoever. I just am curious as to what and why certain things went down the way they did. That's all. And I do truly believe, I hope that these, because I'm going to guarantee you guys, they're traumatized mentally and emotionally. This is not something that you easily forget, guys. This causes PTSD in adults that do this for a living, that handle these things. Okay, seeing this situation with everything I've dealt with and been part of and seen and responded to, this would have affected me very deeply, I tell you. Okay, so imagine a young adult that has never experienced anything like this. I hope they're getting counseling, because they deserve that at the very least. Okay.
Exactly, Wisdom. I don't know
Right.
how I would react in that situation. I really don't.
No, like I said, even with my experience and my previous, what I did for a living as a first responder, seeing the things I've seen, I'm telling you right now, I don't think I could have held it together and been 100. I mean, I would have done my job. And then when you walk away, you break down. It happens all the time. It happened to me many a times, but I'm telling you, you don't know how you would react in this point. I had somebody left me a comment. I don't understand why, and I can't remember who said it, which doesn't matter. And I get what they're saying, but at the same time, think about this. Okay. I don't understand why they would be so upset. It had been 8 or 10 hours later, or 8 hours later. Well, this is still very traumatizing. And if we go based on what we know, they didn't really know or see this until 8 hours later. Okay. That's what we were told. So think about that, though. I mean, I don't care how long you've been sitting there, or that you may know the situation, it's going to be traumatizing. So let's, and here's what I'm going to do. Okay. And not everybody's going to do this, and that's okay. But I'm going to wait until the trial comes to hear what the testimony is from these two before I condemn them. I'm going to put it that way. I have questions. I'm not comfortable with the way they did things, but I'm not going to condemn them until, or if ever, okay, until the law tells me that that's what needs to be done, in that sense, that they should be punished for something. Because again, I sat here the other day and I tried to imagine one of my children being one of those kids that had to do that had to walk into that situation, that had to deal with that situation, knowing what I know about those types of situations. And I went, you know what? No.
Well, I can say one of my kids has PTSD from being forced to watch cartel murder videos
Good
Yeah.
God.
Yeah. So
Welcome,
to
Leslie and Billy.
physically see something and be in something, I mean, I just, wow.
Yeah, 100%. That's horrible, Mama Bear. I'm sorry. So yeah, that's absolutely horrifying. And any child, any parent of any child is going to be brokenhearted. Granted, grateful that their child survived the situation, but brokenhearted that their child has to now live with this for the rest of their life. The thought, the feeling, the visual that keeps coming back because it
Yeah.
doesn't go away. It doesn't go away. I don't care how tough you are. I don't care who you think you are, how strong you are. It does not go away. Okay.
Nope.
Now, like I said, I do have questions, and I'll have those questions, the same ones, until they give me answers. And I'm deeply questioning certain things, and I have curiosities as to why things didn't happen a certain way, this and that, and everything else. I'm hoping we'll get those answers, but I'm not condemning these two. And I don't think that that's a good thing to do, okay, until we know for a fact from the mouths of law enforcement, in my opinion, that they did do something wrong, if at all, okay? That's all I'm saying with that. That's all I'm saying with that, as far as my stance on how this sits here.
Penalty if he's convicted. At this point, Koberger says he didn't commit these crimes. Now back to the 911 call. The phone was passed around quite a bit. The roommates were scared. The call started.
Alicia, it's been 10 years since my son, and I still see that night clearly. Of course you do. And again, Alicia, my deepest condolences and prayers. I know you're not a praying person, but we know, that we know, a lot of us in the community know what you've been through and how horrible that is. And it should never go away. It would be nice that if it could, but in a sense, it should never go away. That's your child, that's your heart and your soul. And I understand wholeheartedly, hon. I do. I'm so sorry. So sorry that you have ever had anybody, that anybody has to go through that. It's not fair. It's not right. So I'll just tell you that. There was an echo in the room when they were talking before they beheaded that guy. If I hear an echo and foreign speakers, okay. Sorry, Moonlit. Very sorry. Yeah, it does. It can cause lots of issues. Very truly. I understand. Cassie said Kevin's cousin lost a baby a month 31 weeks. She's still a mess. She will, and of course she will be. These things are emotionally traumatizing, folks, and our emotions are things that a lot of times we can't control, psychologically speaking, okay? You can think you're going to feel some kind of way. You can think you're strong enough to handle certain things. I did. Until the first time that I had to carry a baby out of a house that was burnt in a fire to nothing but a little piece of charcoal, folks. Meanwhile, I had a baby at home that was the same age. So as I'm walking out of the house holding this deceased child, my mind is in work mode until I passed that baby off to be taken by the coroner's van, okay, and turned around and walked back to my ambulance and about lost my mind.
Yeah.
All I could think of was my child. And I went back to the station. I clocked out, took off my turnout gear, and I went home and I grabbed my child and cried my eyes out and hugged my son for hours. I almost didn't go back after that. I was still young in what I was doing. You don't forget these things, guys. You don't forget the smells. You don't forget the feeling. You don't forget the visuals. It doesn't go away. It never, it does, and none of it. It doesn't go away. As I'm sitting here talking to you, I can smell things again. Every time it comes up, there it is. It never goes away. Okay. So that's what I'm saying is trauma is real. And I cannot imagine. This is one thing I have to say. I can't. And that's why I made this statement today about my stance on this. I can't imagine two 19-year-old girls being able to fake trauma like this, or not being able to, or being able to control themselves and pretend any of this. No, guys, no. If you are that person at that age, you were made by a special breed of people, folks, and that just doesn't happen. Okay. And you got to be realistic with these things, guys. And I feel bad for them because, again, they're young. Their lives are just getting started. And this is something that they will have in their mind, in their soul for the rest of their lives. It's going to affect their future relationships. I can almost guarantee you. I pray to God that they've had counseling, this and that, everything else. I really do. So until and if law enforcement comes out and says these two did this and this, I will not, I refuse to try to condemn them or to slam them, guys, because I have my questions. Like I said, yes, I do. And I do want to know these things, and I'm hoping that we will find out. But besides that, no, I can't throw blame in places that you can't put blame. I just can't. So that's all I'm saying. And that's another side of it. Thank you, Charlotte. Not to mention what they've been through. I can promise you that they probably do have some form of guilt for not calling 911.
Or maybe guilt that they didn't do anything at the time. You know, they were
Right.
too scared.
100%. Think about it. Yes, exactly. Think about that. That's a
Like
good point.
If I had just, put my big girl panties on and gone up there, or, whatever, maybe I could have saved one of their lives or whatever. What if I
Well,
had called
Steve,
911 sooner? Or, there's 100 things that would go through your mind.
and probably still is.
Yeah.
And Steve, so I think Steve's in this video and part of that interview, and he even says that it doesn't matter if they would have called 911 or not. You weren't saving any of those kids. It was that bad. See, that's horrifying to me. And I get what he's saying, but people need to ease up a little bit on some of this, especially the people I've seen saying they're faking it, they're acting, they're this or that. No, they're, in my opinion, no, they're not. No, they're not. I've heard 911 calls. This is real. And I heard it again and again. My wife listened to it, and then that's when I said, "What if this was my child?" I haven't really slammed them. I've asked questions. Why did you not do this? Why did you do that? And I still have those questions, but no. So we need to ease up a bit on that. Some of that stuff that I've seen. Go ahead, Mama Bear. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. I was just going to respond to critical. I see what you're saying, about being frantic and everything. Now, my husband I would be the one that would be freaking out, crying, screaming, whatever, a mess. He would be the one that would be the calm, cool, collected, level-headed. He rolled his truck one year, literally got himself out, crawled out, and was waiting for the fire truck and ambulance and stuff. And they're like, "Well, where's the driver?" He's like, "I am the driver." They're like, "What?" Because he was just calm, cool. He got himself out. He called me. He's like, "Hey, babe, I rolled my truck.
Yeah,
They're
you
going to
told
take
me
me to the
that.
hospital."
Yeah.
Just like it was just any other day. So that's just
Some
kind of a
people can do
different.
that. Some people can't. And critical, to answer your question, in my opinion, I'll say, I don't think anybody knew, as we'll hear this again. Hunter saw what he saw and said, "Go out, get out, get out, get out, get out, get out." Nobody else, I don't think, went in there after hearing that. So I don't think that the siblings saw nor heard, because the call was disconnected at that point right there when the police officer arrived. There wasn't time for them to see or hear this, in my opinion. That's why I don't think you heard that. Okay. But I understand what you're saying is if they were there at that time and knew what was going, of course you probably would have heard something like that. But I don't think they were at that very moment, because that call was disconnected quickly when she realized that law enforcement arrived. So there's that too. That's just my opinion on that.
Starts with roommate Bethany Funk. 4 people.
Damn it. You guys are saying things. I keep forgetting what I was going to say. Angel, I think that's what happened. And I think he did that on purpose to not traumatize them more. Okay. And that's why I think he got so get out, get out, get out, get out. Once he saw something, I think he went into like protective mode. A lot of men do this and was like, oh my God, this is no, go. Knowing that they were already traumatized. And I got to give him props for that. Okay. Because he could have allowed them to he could have went into his own shell and they could have been way worse than they were at that point. So I have to say that.
People, including the two roommates, a neighbor and a friend of Ethan's named Hunter Johnson, all talked to the 911 dispatcher, but there are also things in the background that you can hear only if you listen very closely. So let's listen, and I'm going to put text on the screen for those things in the background.
11:55 a.m. 42 seconds, November 13, 2022.
911 location of your emergency.
Hi, something is happening. Something happened in our house. We don't know what.
What is the address of the emergency?
1122.
What is the rest of the address?
Oh, Kings Road.
Okay. And is that a house or an apartment?
It's a house.
Can you repeat the address to make sure that I have it right?
I'll talk to you guys. We live at the White, so we're next to them.
I need someone to repeat the address for verification.
The address, 1122 King Road.
And what's the phone number that you're calling from?
What? 3731.
And everybody, that's something else I'm going to speak on real quick too. Everybody's saying that nobody is screaming anything about blood and this and that. I think he's the only one that saw the blood at that point. Okay. That's my opinion. Because I think all of that happened within her room. As we hear him going into the room, he saw it. Didn't allow them to see that. Nor do I believe at this point, after hearing this call, that they went upstairs. And at some point, they may have left the house, you guys. Okay? This is something I've been thinking of, is after that, maybe they left the house together, went over and got Hunter and or Emily and said, hey, something happened in here and I'm not comfortable going back in there. I need you to come back with me, so on and so forth, so that we can figure out what to do. That's my opinion. I'm not saying that that's what happened. That's just a speculative opinion as to what I think could have been something. Because of the fear that they had as to what was heard. So let's think about it that way too. I'm trying to bounce this on both sides of things to make it, give it an understanding on both ways. Sorry for that. That's an opinion I have of a possibility. So. And that's another thing too. Mikey says, so the question is, how do you go from not calling for hours to this frantic, what's missing in between? That's what I'm saying, Mikey. What if they left? What if they freaked out and they just said, you know what? Piss on it. I'm out. They were on the bottom floor, went out that door. You're not seeing anything. You know what I mean? If she went down to Bethany's room, they got together, they decided, you know what? Something ain't right. I want out. Let's go. And they ran to the neighbor's house that they were close to, or the other kid's house, and maybe that's why. You know what I'm saying? There's things in the call. That's what they're pointing out with this too. But there's different things, and like I said, I'll run this and then we'll talk about it, guys. Good question, though, Mike, for sure, bro.
Tell me exactly what's going on.
One of the roommates is passed out, and she was drunk last night, and she's not waking up.
Okay.
Oh, and they saw some man in their house last night. Yeah. Hi,
and are you with the patient? Okay, I need someone to keep the phone, stop passing it around.
Can I just tell you what happened pretty much?
What is going on currently? Is someone passed out right now?
I don't really know, but pretty much at 4 a.m.
Okay, I need to know what's going on right now if someone is passed out. Can you find that out?
Yeah, I'll come. Come on, we gotta go check.
See, this is right here why I'm thinking this, you guys. This is why I said that. We're going to go check. So at this point, I don't believe they saw anything. I got to be honest with you. It made me wonder, did they leave after they heard all this stuff? Did she take off down to Bethany's room after the texting we saw? Come on down here and run. And out the door, they just both decided, we need to go next door to such and such's house and get the hell out of here. I don't know what went on, whatever, but that makes me wonder that, because she said we gotta go check. Hey, Sarge, bada bing, forget about it. And it made me wonder that part right there.
Going on currently? Is someone passed out right now?
I don't really know, but pretty much at 4 a.m.
And she's trying to explain, in my opinion, what went on at that 4 a.m. Okay. I really don't know. But we got to go check. Come on. We got to go check. Think about that for a minute.
Okay, I need to know what's going on right now if someone is passed out. Can you find that out?
Yeah, I'll come. Come on, Bethany, we gotta go check. But we have to.
So Bethany is basically arguing with her, saying, I don't want to go in there. She knows something's not right.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't, at this point, know for a fact what exactly happened. But they knew what they heard, in my opinion.
Right.
And that in itself had to have, and I've said this from the beginning, guys, had to have been a pretty loud situation and pretty obnoxious, okay?
Oh, yeah.
And with the texting. Yeah, right, Sarge. See? She says, I hope she's passed out, because I'm telling you, what they heard is way more than what we've been told that they probably heard, okay? That's law enforcement, not them, in my opinion, okay? Because I know what they probably told law enforcement, and law enforcement decided not to put that there. That's my opinion, for whatever reason, okay? And that might be why they could have walked out of that house that morning, or left, or ran out, or whatever, went to the neighbors. They were scared shitless, okay? And didn't know what to do. In turn, that's probably why she contacted her dad at 10 something and said, hey, this is what's going on, blah, blah, blah. Contacted Emily and Hunter and this and that and everything else. These are just opinions, folks. These are not fact-based. It's just thoughts that I got after hearing this and breaking it down. But that's what I'm saying, Sarge. I hope she's passed out, which makes me go, why would you say that unless you think something else, okay, based on maybe what she heard? So, again, I don't think what a lot of people are saying is what it is, but I'll keep going.
Is she passed out?
That's true, too.
Now, did you hear that? It sounds like a woman in the background is saying, I need to know. And Hunter, the friend of Ethan Chapin's who came over to the house, went up to the second floor of the house and says, Xana, Ethan. And it sounds like he may be knocking on a door.
So this is where I kind of got some of my idea from. They came in ground level. Okay, that bottom door came in ground level, go in, and they're probably in Bethany's room, which is ground level, talking about this. And I need to know, maybe that's what that was. I don't know. And he heads upstairs to Xana's room, which is where all this takes place, in my opinion, too.
And to be clear, this is what it sounds like to me. The roommate, Dylan, who saw the man in the house, is the one on the phone. And it sounds like she says, please be passed out. And Hunter then says again, Xana, wake up. I'm going to play that portion of the call again.
Okay, I need to know what's going on right now if someone is passed out. Can you find that out?
Yeah, I'll come. Come on, Bethany, we gotta go check. But we have to. Is she passed out? She's passed out. What's wrong? She's not waking up.
Now, at this moment, guys, I'm believing this is on the outside of a closed door. Remember that he's tapping, knocking, yelling through this door, Xana, wake up, Xana, wake up, because nobody was responding to text messages or phone calls. Okay. And we saw through the text messages that she was saying, please answer. Kaylee, please answer. Things like that. They knew something terrible happened, in my opinion. Okay. And again, I don't believe that they withheld this at this point, guys. I think law enforcement did. I think law enforcement withheld certain details because they don't have to put it in there from the PCA. And that's why everybody has gone on and on about this, saying, well, they did this, this, or this. I don't think it was these two at this point. I think it was the law enforcement. That's just an opinion, guys. And again, I say it all the time. You don't have to agree with me. I'm just stating what I think at this point. And I have to agree with Sarge where his statement was, I tie this call to the text messages in as much as they knew something terrible happened. Absolutely. That's where I feel too, Sarge. That's where I'm at with this. And again, at that point, maybe because of the thought of that, they did leave and went to the neighbor to the right. Or I know for a fact that Dylan had a girlfriend that lived next door in these apartments, maybe over there. This is just my opinion, and came back at some point, okay? I'm not saying that this is actually what happened, you guys. There's no facts to support this. It's just a thought. Thinking about what young girls would do in a situation that they feel is a horrible situation, okay? That's all. Like I said, at this point, this is behind a shut door, in my opinion, which from my understanding, that the door was shut to Xana's room.
Okay, one moment. I'm getting help started that way.
Okay, thank you.
That right there, the trembling in the voice, you cannot fake that, okay? You can't. You can try not sound like that. So that's why I said this is about as real is, folks. That's not fake. At that point, he went into the room. He saw what he saw and flipped out, turned around and said, go, get out of the house now. Get out, get out, get out, get out. That was one of the probably the smartest thing that could have been done. He protected them from actually physically seeing this situation, which could have completely and totally broke them, folks. Worse than it was, okay? We can now consider the open doors were opened by H or one of the people at the scene and were not open all night, as it appeared when it was said the doors were open as the cop. Yes, thank you, Sarge. 100%. I'm right there with you on that one, brother. So 100%. That makes perfect sense now. So yes.
Okay, and how old is she?
She's 20.
I want to tell you about something that Megan.
Now that question, I'm going to tell you, if she would have saw what Hunter saw, she would not have been able to answer that question. We would have heard a blood-curdling scream coming from her. She would not have been able to talk that way. I'm telling you, that's my opinion, but I'm telling you, I've seen people react to things like this. I cannot believe in my mind that that's any way possible. Hold on, guys. I'm trying to get past this little commercial thing here.
Kelly is taking you back inside the case in a special new investigates on the discipline and also find out respond based on what we heard. It sounds like Hunter went to the second floor and possibly Xana Kernodle's bedroom door was closed. Hunter calls for Xana and Ethan and they don't respond. He possibly knocks on that door and says, Xana, wake up. Dylan says what sounds like, please be passed out. Then there's heavy breathing and what sounds like, poor Kaylee. Finally, Hunter says, get out, let's get out.
I'll explain my thoughts on that in a minute, Critical.
I'm going to pick it up from there.
Okay, and how old is she?
She's 20.
20, you said?
Yes, 20 here.
Okay.
Hello? Hello?
Okay, I need someone to stop passing the phone around because I've talked to 4 different people.
Okay, sorry, they just gave me the phone.
Is she breathing?
Hello?
Is she breathing?
No.
Okay.
Bethany, Delon needs you to talk to them, okay? I can't talk to them. They need you to talk to them.
Okay. Hello.
Okay. I've already sent the ambulance and law enforcement. Stay on the line. If there is a defibrillator available, send someone to get it now and tell me when you have it.
Say that again. There's a police here right now.
Okay. If there is a defibrillator available, send someone to get it now and tell me when you have it.
We don't have one. I think yes. Do you have a defibrillator? Yes, we have one.
So are you talking to the officer?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to let you go since he's there with you and can help you.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
Okay.
Now, from what I
Now, at that point, guys, I don't believe anybody else had gone in the house either, because we would be hearing in the background, in my opinion, screaming and yelling from other kids that were friends with these kids. That's my opinion. We're not hearing any of that. It's very quiet in the background. Okay. I believe that because their friends were there, the siblings showed up, so on and so forth. There's nobody yelling, screaming, crying, yelling, any of it. Because I don't believe they actually know the depth of what happened at this point. Okay.
can gather from the 911 call, it does not sound like Hunter went to the third floor where Kaylee Gonsalves and Maddie Mogan were found dead in Maddie's bed. Kaylee's father, Steve Gonsalves, spoke to News Nation about the audio of the call and
the only thing that I have a slight question about, and it makes me, I have to think that it's maybe what she heard the night of, okay, before, when she said, poor Kaylee. I gotta wonder if it's because of what she heard above her the night that this happened. That's where I think that may come from, and I'll just leave it there because I don't have an absolute 100% honest answer to that.
what Hunter Johnson told him.
I talked to Hunter directly, and it sucks. He had a broken soul. This is a man who's seen his best friend dead, you know, like dying, like gone. So we exchanged a moment, and I talked to him, and he was trying to protect everyone in that house to not go through what was overwhelming him at the moment. So I don't know about the details of upstairs, downstairs, door open, door not. But in the bigger picture, does it really matter? He was literally just responding to what he probably thought was a prank, thinking his friend, his best buddy, had these girls rolling. And he showed up there, and he seen the opposite of our prank. And I seen it in his eyes. He was broken. He was very broken from what he had seen.
Well, did Hunter tell you that he was able to open the door to Xana's room and witness Xana and Ethan in there?
Thank you, Lex.
He told me.
Okay, now this part of the interview where we watched those interviews the other night. This wasn't included in that. Okay, they must have cut it before. So pay attention to what he says here. Okay, you can tell that he's avoiding saying certain things, probably for what he's allowed to say or not to say. But pay attention to what he says right here.
That he went to the door, and he was trying to go through that door, and he was trying to figure out what was going on in there. It's kind of like what you're hearing with that audio. He announced himself. He said, "Hey, I'm here. What's going on?" But they didn't respond, and he went in there. He seen something.
Steve Gonsalves also talked about dealing with the reality that this even happened in the first place and wanting to protect his family and the survivors.
My emotions are really my children and my wife. So I would say that they feel like they're slowly drowning, and I'm the guy that's trying to help them.
That's what I'm saying, Sarge. I do believe that the girls didn't go all the way in there, I don't think, Bethany or Dylan. I think Hunter said, just hang back, I'll go see what's going on, so on and so forth, being a guy, okay? And I got to go with Sarge on this, that he went in, got inside, looked at Xana and Ethan's situation, and maybe possibly did go upstairs and came back and said, get out, get out, get out, get out. That's my thought too, Sarge. I'm not 100%, but that's what I believe.
them stay from drowning. And these slow leaks, this torturous process that we're going through, they've done a better job. They've
Yeah, Michelle, we covered that probably right before you came in, dear. The first cut thing we kind of looked at in this morning when we came in. So, but thank you though. Thank you for the information or for trying to bring that to us. I appreciate it. Also, an open door could refer to an unlocked door. According to Steve, he just said he saw his best friend deceased. Right. Yeah. Good point, Sarge. Good point. Good to have you here this morning, sir.
responded to our feedback. We have said, hey, the 911 call is not something that we want to turn on TV and actually see. So they have responded. They have done a better job of, like, this is a community that doesn't know what murder is. They don't have any clue how to
Welcome, Ella.
public relations. It just doesn't really exist. So we're getting through it together, and
No worries at all, Michelle.
it's hard to say it's getting better, but they are communicating, and we're trying to like protect our children and protect all the families and protect the survivors to make sure that
Yeah.
Now, one thing that is said too that you got to understand, they did not know this was coming out, and it's explained why the 911 call is released here too. This is another reason why I wanted to show this to you guys so that everybody understood how and why this call was released, okay, and what the deal was with it. Steve himself has stated that they should have never kept this hidden. There really was no reason to, and I listened to an analyst explain there was really nothing in this for them to have to keep it hidden, which is why I think Hitler said, or not Hitler, but why this all came out like it did, and it explains, like I said, why it did, so on and so forth. But they were not expecting this call to come out, okay? Not at all. They didn't know when it did, and I think it's wrong because they've already suffered. The families have suffered a lot through this, okay? They should have been forewarned, pre-warned. Hey, this call is going to be released. Be ready. You're probably going to see or hear this, so on and so forth, and they didn't. And I don't like that. That should never have happened that way. That's rough, okay? Considering what has happened. And that's probably a good point right there to go back to the other question that was asked, Alicia. They have said that the dog did not react to most things because it's a party house and it's used to the boom, 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 all the noise and stuff. So that does make a good point, Alicia, very much. You're going to have to join us, Sarge, if we can get you in here the next time we have our conversation about this stuff, because you haven't been in the last couple ones. I miss you being here.
we don't have these trolls that are attacking them for no reason.
Steve Gonsalves is referring to people on social media who've questioned whether the surviving roommates had something to do with the murders. They've also been scrutinized for not calling 911 sooner when they were texting about Dylan seeing a man walking through the house, which Bethany didn't seem to believe if you read their texts. The Gonsalveses issued a long statement on Facebook about the 911 call. It reads, "We stand together with all the victims of Idaho, both those we have lost and those who remain, forever marked by a tragedy that no passage of time will ever erase. The 911 call, it is not the neatly rehearsed dialogue of a well-crafted story, not the polished performance you might expect from a Hollywood script. No, it is raw. It is jagged, a searing, unvarnished truth that no camera could ever hope to capture. Every breath, every cry, every tremor in the voice reveals a reality so cruel, so brutally honest, it cuts deeper than anything fiction could devise." After hearing that call, one thing is clear. Hunter, with his quiet, stoic resolve, protected those girls from a nightmare that no one should ever be forced to witness. He stepped into the abyss, shielding them from horrors that will haunt him forever. For that, the Gonsalves family owes him a debt that words cannot repay. If you were expecting a neat cinematic
Morning, Miss
conclusion,
Annie.
something palatable, something that offers closure, let me make this clear. The real world does not operate on such terms. The terror of that night cannot be cleanly packaged, wrapped in a bow, or distilled into a simple, digestible narrative. It is ugly. It is painful. It is the kind of horror that shakes you to your deepest core. These were not adults. They were children, still clinging to the fragile threads of innocence when the world was violently torn from them in an instant. In closing, let us face the uncomfortable truth. Had the 911 call been made the moment the accused left that house, it would not have saved anyone. Nothing would have changed. Now, you might be asking yourself, who released the call and why now? Well, we obtained it through a public records request from the 911 call center, Whitcomb. In a letter, Whitcomb lawyers wrote, by way of background.
It is wonderful to see you, Annie. Thank you so much for popping in here. Great seeing you again. We've missed you a lot, truly. Wonderful to have you here always.
On January 3rd, 2023, prosecution and defense attorneys in the case of State of Idaho v. Brian C. Kohberger filed a stipulation for non-dissemination order. That same day, the Latah County District Court issued a non-dissemination order. On January 18th, 2023, the Latah County District Court amended its January 3rd, 2023 non-dissemination order. The January 3rd, 2023 and January 18th, 2023 non-dissemination orders prohibited the release of public records responsive to your request. So Whitcomb lawyers are saying that this non-dissemination order agreed to by the parties was amended and prohibited the release of the call. And I remember very early in January of 2023, when I was in Moscow, I had been told prior to that the call would be released soon. Then it didn't happen. Whitcomb lawyers also wrote, on January 30th, 2023, Whitcomb 911 filed a declaratory action in Whitman County Superior Court seeking a determination as to whether Whitcomb 911 was required to disclose, pursuant to the PRA, the requested public record in light of the non-dissemination orders issued by the Latah County District Court. That case remains pending. On June 23rd, 2023, the Latah County District Court issued its revised amended non-dissemination order, which clarified the court's position and continued to prohibit the release of the public records responsive to your request. The court further clarified its order on June 23rd, 2023. So Whitcomb felt it still couldn't release the call since that case was pending, but things changed once the transcript of the call was filed with the court in Brian Kohberger.
You know what? That's a good point, Cap. And I got to agree. I think to an extent, yeah, the gag order is what caused a lot of the problems in here. Due to the fact that when the gag order went into effect, a lot of the narrative was built after that. Okay. And crazy things that law enforcement put out that didn't match up. Now that we're seeing that, not to mention other people that put things out caused a lot of the drama in here too. So, yes, I agree with that, too. Miss Karen just said, did you see BK had the girls on social media accounts? I did not at this point. I have not, but I will check it out, Karen, 100%.
Seems like I remember something vaguely from way back in the day, but
I'm trying to remember. Yeah, with her saying that, I'm thinking that, yeah, I think so, too. I think we talked about that, didn't we, at some point? Like 2 years ago, maybe?
maybe.
It's been a long time.
For sure.
So
There's a
much.
lot we've covered.
Yeah, that's what my brain's like. Nope, not right now. Sorry. Yeah, no, I understand, Karen. Ellie has provided way too much exculpatory evidence and maybe the basis for a hung or not guilty verdict. Agreed, Sarge. Agreed. Yes. Annie is saying Brian was not following any of them. See, that's what I thought that the conversation we had pertained to. That somebody had stated that he followed him on social media and then it came out that he didn't. So 2 years ago again, guys. So bear with me. And the state absolutely said that there was zero connection too. That's true, Rowena. And no connection to any victims has been produced by the state. 100%, Annie. Thank you. BK didn't really give an alibi. He's saying I wasn't there. I was somewhere else. Prove I was there. Right. That's kind of basically what it was.
First case.
And the reason why I believe there was no sirens, Charlotte, is because literally law enforcement was right around the corner. They were right there. They didn't really have to. It was right there. Now, I don't know if the first responder, EMS, anything, use sirens or not. I don't know, but I don't believe that law enforcement had to because they responded within a minute to 2 minutes, I think, because they were right around the corner. So
more than a week ago, on or about March 6, 2025, the Ada County District Court released a transcript of the 911 call recording. We have determined the non-dissemination order, as revised and amended, no longer prevents release of the 911 call recording. in its redacted form and consistent with the transcript released by the Ada County District Court. Accordingly, please find enclosed a public record that is responsive to your request for the 911 call recording. So I want to talk now about why it took so long, 27 months, to release this call. I want to bring in Jack Greiner. He is a First Amendment.
You're muted, dude.
Stupid microphone. This explains the whole thing about why the 911 call wasn't released and what took so long and blah, blah, blah for everybody so that you guys can understand that.
Amendment attorney who's dealt with this type of thing many times. He works at the Faruqi law firm in Cincinnati, Ohio. So Jack, you read the letter that the law firm for Whitcomb, the 911 center, put out, and they were basically saying there's no reason to hold this back anymore because the transcript was filed with the court. So why do you think that it took so long for this to come out?
I think that in a lot of high profile cases like this one, courts and prosecutors tend to overreact and feel unnecessarily concerned about public dissemination of information. There is probably some things that could impact the investigation, but those would be, in my mind, and in a lot of states, I don't practice in Washington State, but certainly in the states that I practice in, there are similar public records acts and investigatory materials themselves. That is, once a crime, once there's a charge of the crime, once there's an indictment or an identified suspect, even before indictment, the materials that are gathered by the detectives and the police usually are shielded from production. I think that makes sense. But a 911 call is what we're dealing with here is a public record. It is it's a call that's made before there's even knowledge of a crime necessarily, certainly before there's any suspect. It is not work product of police. It's just an eyewitness account of something. And the notion that that should be withheld from the public for 27 months or for a week is a little hard to understand. But I think it's a it's a knee-jerk reaction in these high-profile cases where, again, prosecutors and courts often overreact and impose orders that are far broader than they need to be.
The only thing that I can think of to hold this call back, at least during the investigation, before a suspect was identified and apprehended, was this one fact about they saw a man in their house last night, because that was something nobody knew, that the roommate, one of the surviving roommates, had seen a man walking through her house, walking toward her. Nobody knew that until after the arrest had been made, and it was in the probable cause affidavit filed with Brian Koberger for his arrest for the murder charges. So that I can see, okay, we need to keep that close to the vest. We have a suspect on the loose, we have a killer on the loose, and we have an eyewitness, a survivor, who's saying they saw a man in their house. So that, to me, I'm like, okay, you have to keep that secret until an arrest is made. But then after the arrest is made, that's out. That's in the probable cause affidavit.
Right.
So to me, that's the only thing you keep secret. And then I hear nothing else in that 911 call, Jack, and you listen to it as well, that would hurt the investigation. I mean, we hear Hunter in the background saying, Xana, Ethan, trying to rouse them. It sounds like he's knocking on the door. If you turn it up and really listen to it closely, it doesn't sound like there's anything that would hurt the investigation or that is, proprietary to the investigation in that call.
No, I agree. And I follow your same logic. And I think obviously if the 911 call were released pre-arrest while the suspect was at large, you could redact that portion of the 911 call, but the call should still be released. And as you say, once there's a probable cause affidavit that says that, then that ought not be redacted anymore either. I mean, I do think that, and I don't know if the thinking was that, I think you indicated to me, Anjanette, that the the transcript was filed with the court, but the audio was still withheld. Is that right? At some point?
The transcript was filed with the court. The prosecution filed a motion in limine with the court saying, we want to introduce this 911 call at trial, which, you know, I feel like that's always basically the first witness is a 911 dispatcher or somebody saying, yes, this is authentic. And they play the 911 call. And the transcript was filed with the court. But here's the catch, Jack. It was so bizarre. I think you'll think this is bizarre too. They filed the audio on the thumb drive or whatever under seal, but have the transcript there.
That makes no sense. Yeah, that makes no sense to me. I do say, and I think there's an argument to be made because sometimes, and I handled a case a number of years ago in Ohio where there was a murder or a homicide, I guess, on I think it was either on Mother's Day or Easter, or one or the other. And they had a 911 call of the ultimately the perpetrator calling 111 saying, I killed my dad. But I think that, and there was an effort there. I think the prosecution said, well, we'll let you have the transcript, but we're not going to let you have the audio. And our view was, we want to hear the audio because I think there's just added context, and just a dry transcript. I think there would be things that if all you saw was having listened to that call, if all you saw was the transcript of the call, there was, like you said, at one point, there sounded like there was knocking on the door. There's just, who's emotional, who's not. The woman, one of the things that I found interesting was the 911 dispatcher kept saying, stop handing the phone around, because I think she wound up talking to 4 different people. And you have very distraught young woman. And then I think a woman who lived next door who was more in control. Than some guy gets on the call. And, you just wouldn't be able to get a sense of the emotion from the transcript. So I think so. And like you say, you don't learn anything, the audio doesn't disclose anything separate apart from the transcript. So the idea that the transcript is made publicly available and the audio is not is really hard to explain. There's no good explanation for it.
The only thing is, it's just heartbreaking. You hear these young women. Jack, you're a dad. I'm a mom. These young women, they sound like, they're college age women, they sound like kids, and that's heartbreaking. And maybe they wanted to shield them. And they're going to be traumatized for the rest of their lives. It's horrible. It's absolutely horrible. All of those kids that were on that call are going to be traumatized for the rest of their lives. In their letter responding to our public records request, the attorneys for Whitcomb, the 911 center, basically said, we were prohibited from releasing this because of the non-dissemination order, the gag order, that the Latah County District Attorney or the prosecutor agreed to in this case. So we couldn't release this. But really, that type of thing typically covers, prosecutors and defense attorneys standing on the courthouse steps making extrajudicial statements. Right. And saying whatever and tainting the jury pool. So this says nothing about Brian Kohberger.
Right. Well, it's fact. It's not the persuasive argument of some defense lawyer, like you say, standing on the courthouse steps and kind of trying the case in the media. This is a record of what happened that night, what people observed that night. It just isn't, A, it's not typically included in a gag order that I've ever seen, and B, it's not the type of thing that a gag order is trying to protect against. The gag order is trying to protect.
Do I think they will use the text between Dylan and Bethany and give time? Yeah. In the trial? Absolutely they will. How could they not? You know what I mean? That's absolutely my opinion, at least. I think he's maybe a year older, Angel. Cap, there was more than one Elantra out that night. Yes, there was. There was more than one car that was identical to the other car, to his car out that night. There was at least 2 that I know of for a fact. So there's that too. But that's a whole other part of this, guys. We're not going to get into that now. It doesn't help that she keeps trying to tell a story about what happened 8 hours prior at 4 a.m. Kohberger was still driving around allegedly and not in the house or even parked. Good point, Annie. That is a good point.
At the end. tainting the jury pool, that sort of thing. I don't think that, but as you say, that audio is going to be played probably as Exhibit 1 at the trial. So a jury is going to, hear it pretty much day one of trial anyway. And so the idea that this is going to somehow unfairly taint the jury pool, I think, is a stretch, to say the least.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I mean, these are pretty. This is how investigations start, with a 911 call, and it's really sad to listen to this, but it's important, and it is a public record, and it's awful to hear these kids on the call, and it's so sad. And this is obviously one of the saddest things I think I've ever covered. It's just terrible. But we have the call now, and we hear what it reveals. And I just hope all of these kids are getting help, like psychological help that they need.
100%.
Jack Reiner, thank you so much, as always, for your time and your expertise.
All right. Thanks, Anjanette. Take care. Bye-bye.
And here's that entire 911 call again.
11:55 a.m. 42 seconds, November 13, 2022.
911 location of your emergency.
Hi, something is happening. Something happened in our house. We don't know what.
What is the address of the emergency?
That statement right there is partially why I came to the somewhat of a conclusion that I have. Something's happened in our house. Something's happened in our house, and I don't know what. I truly, honestly can be comfortable saying that I think possibly they left. I think they may have left and either gone to the neighbor right here to the right or to her friends in the apartments. This is an opinion, absolutely pure speculative, but I think they may have left, and I don't blame them if they did, out of fear, okay? And then came back hours later. So that could explain, you guys, think about this. That could explain the whole 8-hour thing, okay? That they just did not want to go back. They were sitting over there talking to their friends. I don't know what happened. This happened. I heard this. And maybe they walked out because they were scared. This is just, and again, we haven't seen all the text messages, the stuff that has been redacted still we haven't seen yet, or phone calls, whatever. So I'm not saying that's what happened, you guys. This is just an opinion I have. That's all.
Emergency.
1122.
What is the rest of the address?
Oh, Kings Road.
Okay. And is that a house or an apartment?
It's a house.
Can you repeat the address to make sure that I have it right?
I'll talk to you guys. We live at the White, so we're next to them.
I need someone to repeat the address for verification.
The address, 1122 King Road.
And tell me exactly what's going on.
One of the roommates is passed out, and she was drunk last night, and she's not waking up.
Okay.
Oh, and they saw some man in their house last night. Yeah. Hi, this is
And are you with the patient? Okay, I need someone to keep the phone, stop passing it around.
Can I just tell you what happened pretty much?
What is going on currently? Is someone passed out right now?
I don't really know, but pretty much at 4 a.m.
Okay, I need to know what's going on right now if someone is passed out. Can you find that out?
Yeah, I'll come. Come on, Bethany, we gotta go check. But we have to.
I wish she would have let her tell her what happened pretty much at 4 a.m. I mean, I know what the 911 operator was following protocol, but I wish she would have let her.
Is she passed out? She's passed out. What's wrong? She's not waking up.
Okay, one moment. I'm getting help started that way.
Okay, thank you.
I agree, Mark.
Okay, and how old is she?
She's 20.
20, you said?
Yes, 20 here.
Okay.
Hello? Hello?
Okay, I need someone to stop passing the phone around because I've talked to 4 different people.
Okay, sorry, they just gave me the phone.
Is she breathing?
Hello?
Is she breathing?
No.
Okay.
Bethany, or Dylan, I need you to talk to them, okay? I can't talk to them. I need you to talk to them.
Hello?
Okay. I have already sent the ambulance and law enforcement. Stay on the line. If there is a defibrillator available, send someone to get it now and tell me when you have it.
Say that again? There's a police here right now.
Okay. If there is a defibrillator available, send someone to get it now and tell me when you have it.
We don't have one. I think yes. Do you have a defibrillator? Yes, we have one.
Are you talking to the officer?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to let you go since he's there with you and can help you.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
Okay.
11:59 a.m.
That wasn't him that was breathing like that. That was Dylan or Bethany, whoever had the phone in their hand, Demon. That was one of the 2 girls that was breathing like that. He was in the back trying to get in the room. So that was her breathing like almost hyperventilating to an extent. They knew. This is what we do know, guys. And at least this is in my opinion. They knew that something very bad happened in there that night. Okay. They know at this point that something very, very bad happened. This is hence the reason why she's saying, please be passed out. Please be passed out. Knowing in her mind that something really bad happened, which is why she's saying that. Okay. And that's why I had to wonder, did they leave? Now, there's nothing out there that points to the fact that they left. Okay. But thinking of their age and what the text messages said, and knowing what they probably actually truly heard, I thought maybe they went next door. And, it took, a while to calm them down. They're explaining to whoever it was, the friends next door, which is why that girl showed up there. Maybe she came back with them. Okay. And they wanted to wait for a guy to show up to go in. And everybody's saying that they're not talking about the blood. I don't think there was any in that area there until they got to the room. The door was shut. Somebody had asked how the door ended up shut. I think it probably was still open, and that somebody, because of one of the 2, was struggling at the end and may have tried to get out of the door and it accidentally shut. That's what I think may have happened at that side. Okay. Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm trying to say, Cap. Yeah, Demon, that was a girl. That was a girl breathing. You could hear her talking, all of a sudden it goes into that, and she whispers, poor Kaylee at that point. I'm starting to get the impression Dylan and Bethany heard the roommate. That's my point, Annie. That's what I'm going at. This is exactly what I think, is that she heard them fighting to defend themselves 100% and was scared. It makes sense, you guys. And that's why that's where the whole maybe they left came into effect. Okay, that would kind of explain that 8-hour period of time. If you think about it, they took off scared to death, which would have been smart, not knowing who the hell's in their house. They said they saw a man in the house. Remember, they know that much. And they were scared shitless. I don't blame them. And they bolted at some point when she said she saw him, thinking he may have left. She ran down to Bethany's room, and they both said, let's get the hell out of here. They ran to the neighbor, maybe, or like I said, the apartment. These are just opinions, folks, so don't run with this. But and they sat there that whole time trying to figure out trying to call the roommates. Please answer. Calling other people. I don't know what's going on. You get back, bro. What's up with you? It's early, something like that, Then she calls her father, telling her dad what she may have heard, so on and so forth. And he probably says, call the damn police, girl. So they head back over to the house with the neighbor or somebody else with them, probably. And then everything commences from there. That makes this make a little bit of sense in some ways, if that's how this may have went down. Okay. Right, Ro. Right. So they are, in my opinion, absolutely traumatized. there's multiple men, 2 minimum. Their blood is on the scene. Yeah, no. I'm sorry, Annie. I wasn't saying there wasn't. I'm saying yes, and I would believe that too. Yeah, the heavy breathing is like, please don't be, in my honest opinion. Then Hunter says, get out. They know it's serious, and they knew it was serious beforehand. And that's why I'm telling you, the stuff that was in the PCA, I truly believe that law enforcement is the one that put that in there. I don't think that's what she said. I think that we know that he changed it, obviously, and he put it in there. And for whatever reason, they didn't put all that other stuff in there. I don't know if it was to protect the families or if it was just to keep the case quiet. I don't know. That's my opinion, though. There is also a pair of gloves that must be full of transfer DNA on the inside, yet not a peep from anyone about anything but the blood. Yes, Sarge, of course. They were focused on their immediate safety, in my opinion, and there's nothing wrong with that. I can agree with you, Molly. Yes, and they were definitely traumatized. This is a real call, folks. There was no acting there, okay? That was real. That's my opinion. Of course, other people may disagree, and that's okay. I respect that, but that's how I feel. Mama Bear, anything from you?
I'm in agreement.
Yeah. Annie says Dylan and Bethany knew at 4 a.m. Weird shit was going on, and waiting until 11:56 to call authorities is diabolical. I do agree that there's something wrong with that, but
Yeah.
I'm praying that there's going to be some kind of an answer to that, Annie. You know what I mean? That we're going to hear in the trial. I'm praying there's an answer that makes some sense. That's the biggest issue I have with this whole thing, is that right there, that 8-hour period of time. It blows my mind. And I hope that the answer comes and it's just like, when they give it, it's like, oh, I hope, but I'm still not going to be okay with it because it should have not happened. No, I agree with you. There's just no excuse. I agree with that. Now, mentally and emotionally, the only thing that I can say that makes any sense to me is that they were in some kind of, because they are still kids, in my opinion, some kind of a panic, whether they were in the house or not in the house. And it would make more sense if they were away from the house as to why they didn't, but there still is, in my opinion, no excuse. You should have done that. And I get the trauma that they were under and all that. And that's why I'm saying, okay. And that's what I'm expecting to hear during the trial, truly. You still got to do it. You still got to do it. And I think that her dad is the one that made her call police. Maybe she was afraid. I don't know, you guys, but it's still crazy to me.
I mean, it could have been, maybe she didn't want to till she could have Hunter come over, and maybe he just wasn't available until whatever time.
Well, I gotta wonder too, Mama Bear. Yeah, that's true too. I gotta wonder too if this whole sorority thing, the rules with the sororities and fraternities, that you don't do this until you do this stuff. Maybe that played into it. I don't know, you guys, but it's still not a good excuse.
Right. It's not.
Not at all. So far, their testimony at the grand jury caused more confusion than clarity. Oh, 100%. That's what Steve said. That's true.
Yeah. And I feel, and I could be wrong, and it's just my opinion, that these girls, their dads and stuff did a lot for them, protected them.
This is true.
And therefore, I don't know how I'm trying to say it. Yeah, I can't get the words right, but right, Annie. Yeah, I don't understand the 8 hours either. And it's just mind-boggling. So when did Dylan open her door and yell, "Shut the F up"? I never believed that. That changed after she caught so much flack about being in a frozen shock phase. So then it changed from scared to badass.
Good point. There's some things that have been put out that were now probably null and void, you know?
Yeah.
We now know there was no frozen shock phase. She's awake, aware, texting, and calling.
Yeah.
Like I said, law enforcement is the one that seems to have changed this stuff. Okay. And put it in there the way that they did. And I don't know if they're doing it to protect the case, to protect these girls. I just don't know that. And this takes us back to that, you know, why it was mishandled in a lot of ways. Yeah, like they needed a male with them for comfort, and that does make some sense, Molly. I've seen situations like that. Yeah, protected themselves, perhaps. I don't know, Annie, 100%, but these things do make sense. Ellie created a narrative, and it appears to not match what has been released. That's a good point, Sarge. That's where I'm going. That's where I'm going. And now the next question is why? This is what makes people look at law enforcement and say, they framed him, you did this, you did that, because they created this narrative. And now we're getting, which they probably didn't expect. Now we're getting information that we haven't gotten. And everybody's going, why did you say this? And why did you say that? That's not what happened. You see what I'm saying? And Sarge, that's a great point, sir. So they create this narrative and draw this picture for everybody. And 2 years later, the true information comes out via 911 and so on and so forth. And everybody's going, wait a minute. What happened to the frozen shock phase and the clad in black and this and that and all that other stuff? I mean, because at some point during those text messages, if you read those correctly, it does seem to be that Bethany doesn't believe that there's somebody in the house. Okay. And she's going, shut up, like, nah, that kind of thing. So I don't know. Yeah, that's it. Exactly it, Terry. The police did that. For what were you trying to accomplish by doing this is what I don't understand. And this is another place that they screwed up, in my opinion.
Right, Sarge. That's another thing. That 3 different times she supposedly peeked out the door and
3 different times she did it. And everybody's questioned, so why didn't you do something? Why didn't you run? Why didn't you do that? Well, now we're seeing other things. So yeah. That's right. And the girls, this is where law enforcement needs to step up and take credit for this. Because of what law enforcement did, Dylan and Bethany have taken so much shit. Okay. And without understanding it. So again, one more time. And I'm not saying it was done on purpose. I'm not saying it's a conspiracy. No, I'm saying you dropped the ball and you made mistakes. You need to take accountability for that, fellas. Okay, I understand this is a big deal. This is a big case. You don't have the experience. Say it then. We messed up. Sorry. Because you've allowed for this crazy shit to go on within this case for 2.5 years now. Take accountability where accountability needs to be taken. And that's my opinion.
Molly said this is just her opinion, but I know Idaho cops too well. So in my opinion, they changed stuff to 1, make it sound better, and 2, to make things easier on their end.
And Molly lives in Idaho and has forever. And so that's kind of what I was saying, Molly. Yes. And this is a guy that was writing tickets the day before he became the lead detective in a quadruple homicide. Okay. So there's that. And I think this was a confubbled mess from the beginning with certain things. And it's unfair because in my opinion, now because of that, the two, Dana Bethany and Dylan really took a whole lot more shit than they probably had to have. Granted, people have those questions. Why didn't you do this or that? And those questions aren't going to go away until they're answered. I get that. But all that other stuff that came behind that was unnecessary if law enforcement would have said, hey, this is what we did here. This is what we did there. Sorry, we weren't really prepared for this. it happens, and there's that. So it made this way worse than it had to be. I don't know. Critical says, I want to hear the time of death of the victims, not a digital download for the timeline. Where are the death certificates? Good point. Oh, well, those probably aren't going to be released until probably the trial. Then again, I didn't expect this call to be released until the trial.
Yeah, I didn't either.
Yeah, and that's it. And we've seen this previously and most recent in some senses that Moscow PD doesn't take accountability, and they haven't, you know, in other cases as well. Molly has been sending me for 2.5 years call logs, okay, for a lot of the calls that they put out. They don't, folks. They don't take reports on almost anything ever. It's just kind of a, all right, stop doing this and stop doing that. Have a good day. Bye. They like to put out warnings, that's for sure. We should get info on the footprint. A blank, is it crime scene related? And B, oh, A, is it crime scene related? And B, what direction? Yeah, that I thought about that before, Sarge. Like, which direction was it, leading into her room or away from her room? I asked that a long time ago. Yeah, they don't give reports on about anything, Rowena, and you can ask Molly. She's got
I've
that
seen
list.
them too.
Right.
It's mind blowing. It's like, what?
And they've been out on some stuff that you're like, okay, and it says no report, no report, no report, no report, no. What are you doing? You need to have, in some of these situations they've been on, you need to have some form of proof of this. Where's your report? You're too lazy. There you go. Laziness is number one, in my opinion, with some of these things. And of course, incapabilities of performing your job in the right way. Annie says, docs or Sarge, that the docs say that the shoe print was on the threshold of her door and not going in the direction of the slider. So it's like it's heading back in her room. Is that what you're saying, Annie? Local Ellie changes things in the reports from when shots went between them and my dad. That unalived my dad. So you can say killed your dad, Molly. It's okay. So them changing things or whatnot does not shock me at all. And that's not the first time I've heard that story, guys.
Nope.
It's really not. It could be dog urine or dog pee as they found it with amino acid black, not luminol. Good point. That's another good point, Sarge. There should be, to an extent, Michelle, yes. But again, like I said, I think that the scene on the second floor was contained probably to Xana's room, and the scene on the third floor was probably contained to Maddie's room. Okay, which could explain why there wasn't such a mess per se out in the hallways and stuff. Which again, if Dylan, it was dark. If Dylan left her room and ran down those stairs to the first floor, she would have went past the hallway that leads to Xana's room and the door shut. She didn't see anything. She goes down that back stairwell that leads to the front door, I guess it's called. Gets to Bethany's room, if we're to believe she did what the text messages said. I don't know. And then they either stay there the rest of the night or they take off together to go to a neighbor's house. Okay? Those are the things, the two things I believe may have happened that way. I'm not saying anything. The docs say that the shoe print was, I know, I get it, Annie. The shoe print was on the threshold of her door and not going in the direction of the slider. So it was coming back in. I know what you're saying. I get it. It's okay. Didn't the footprint make a van sole impression size 8? I thought it was 9, critical. I heard it was a size 9. I could be wrong, you guys. So like I said, at this point with this, you guys, I just kind of wanted to put my stance out there as to what I think and feel on this. Is I don't believe that condemning these two is the way to go at this point. I think we need to wait and see what the trial states. I said I believe hearing that call that it's a true 100% real deal panic traumatized call. Okay. And Annie says, no, the shoe size was never, ever specified, says Van Style. So see, that's how people get misinformation, because there's been so much bullshit put out that I heard somewhere it was a size 9. If I was Dylan and heard that, my protective mode would have taken over the fear, but that's me. And that does happen. You can go either direction, Charlotte. I get it. But anyway, that's what I was saying, is that's my stance on how I feel. I don't believe that they should be crucified at this point. We need to wait till trial and see what happens. They've been through some shit. They definitely have been through some shit. I'll give it that. Hearing that call really stepped me back a few steps, and I said, you know, what if this was my daughter? It would have broke my heart to hear her talking that way and to be going through that, so on and so forth. And we don't know. And I could be completely wrong, and there's something else to it. But at this point, I'm going to wait for what law enforcement, or it's not really law enforcement, what the trial brings forth, okay? Because at this point, I don't trust law enforcement with this. I just don't.
Bye, Sarge.
Good to have you here, Sarge. Thank you for joining us. I hope to see you soon, brother. Enjoy your steak or whatever you're going to be eating, because I know that's where you're headed at this time.
Mhm.
I hope it does, Michelle. I hope it does. And if they do put them on the stand, which I'm pretty sure they're going to, maybe that will answer some of these questions that we have sitting here. But I just do not feel that attacking them, and I do agree with Annie, that 911 should have been called. There's really not a good excuse. I wasn't in their head, so I can't tell you what they were thinking. The trauma, the panic, all of that set in. I don't know, but it should have been done. It should have been, or Waffles. Good point, Angel. Or Hamburg, Angel. You guys remember him well. Yeah, I'm just saying, like, it should have happened. And like Steve had said, so you can put that to rest. Anybody that believes that no matter whether they were called or not, that nobody could have survived this. It was that bad. That's horrible. Still should have been called, though, because they could have maybe possibly. My opinion is that they should have been called during everything that was going on. Maybe they could have caught the person or persons that were involved in this. Okay, they were quick to get there. You guys saw how fast they respond there. I don't know, Annie, and in that I've tried to explain that time and time again that nobody's attacking them. We're just asking questions to try to understand this better. That's all it is. It's asking questions. I've never attacked them, and I won't until somebody puts something out and says this one did this and this one did that. Okay, then I might have something to say. Nobody's attacking them. I've seen some people that do it, not in here though. At least not that I've seen. We're just asking questions and trying to understand why things happened the way they did. That's all this is. And that's what it's about. It's what it's about. Why didn't they call Ellie for a welfare check on the roommates instead of calling everyone else? I don't know, Charlotte. I don't know. Maybe because they were in the same house and they probably thought they wouldn't respond well to maybe. I don't know. There again, these are young kids that are in a little bit of a panic mode, in my opinion, while all this is probably going on, listening to it, and they're freaking out, not knowing what to do, maybe.
Yeah, I could see my mind going 100 different directions.
Of course.
Not being able to think straight.
Mm-hmm. Not to mention, they were out during the night of maybe having some fun, partying, drinking a little bit. And you don't make the quickest and fastest decisions either, especially if you get freaked out and scared, because I've been there where I've been drinking, so on and so forth. You know what I'm saying? And you don't react quickly. You don't react the right way at all times. So I'm just saying. That's another thing. Well, I think because of what they heard, Annie, that's what I'm gathering at this point is what they actually heard. I do wholeheartedly and truly believe that they heard a whole lot now. I do believe that. Okay. So that is something that has changed. Before we were told that they didn't really hear anything, that Dylan was the only anybody that heard something. So that's changed for me now. I think they've heard everything. And that's why they were panicked, in my opinion, and freaking out, saying, please answer, please be passed out. Because they knew something happened bad that night because of what they heard. That's my opinion, of course. But and that could have been what stalled them out. That could have been what scared the hell out of them too.
Tomboy, are you saying our opinions are not victim shaming either? They are simply
because
opinions. Okay.
That's how I was getting ready to put that out there. She said our opinions aren't victim shaming either. They are simply that, opinions. Amen. And that's truly what it is. Okay, nobody's victim shaming that I've seen. I look for it, and I tell people we don't do that. We're not going to attack the victims by any means or their families. I don't like that, and I don't want that in here. There have been some questions or statements that were made that were removed because they were not appropriate. A past couple shows. That's one thing I won't stand for. And I know a lot of people look at the survivors as victims, and they, in some sense, are because of what they went through to an extent. Okay. And I call them survivors. I don't know what else to call them, but the other two roommates. Okay. Because they made it through that. They are victims of that circumstance. They're not victims of the crime itself, but they're victims of what the circumstance of the crime was. That I do believe. And that's if I saw blood and my friend wasn't waking up, I'd be asked, yeah. And I think that's mostly what the questions that have been asked about them are. Now, I know there's other people that have gone for the throat with these two, and I don't think that's the right way to do this, guys. That's not how this should be done. Let's give it a chance and see what happens, okay? These are still young girls, kids to an extent, who aren't making good decisions in their lives yet. They're, like I said, they could have been intoxicated. But mostly I think they were petrified and terrified, okay? Because they probably have never been in a situation where you hear what they probably heard. How do you react to that? I can't imagine at 20 years old or 19 years old, I think they were 19, hearing all of that go down, what I was imagining what the sound was like, and not knowing what the hell I'm going to do at that age. So
Wisdom said Bethany didn't hear it. Dylan texted her about it.
Right. That's true. Thank you, Wisdom. That is true. So, and Bethany was down below.
Yeah, that's what I was getting ready to say. It was right down below everything.
How about the blood could be first interpreted as something spilled and passed out, especially in a traumatic situation? Well, again, so Cap, they were behind a closed door on that level there, so you couldn't really tell. So, that's why I think they may have left too. Critical that smell comes into play. I was thinking maybe they just weren't there until after the fact, which is why they didn't smell anything. They didn't venture out to use the bathroom and see something. Or not. I could be wrong. I'm just saying it was a thought. And that is a good point, Cap. I do agree. Leslie says, I'm the bad guy here, but don't forget this is Idaho, and those girls are used to hunting with guns, knives, bows, and arrows. Also, they're Greek row. They know about the hazing too. So not all girls are hunters in Idaho, Leslie. I can promise you that. Not all of them. That's a fact. Not all of them will go hunting, so on and so forth. That's a good point, but not all do that. Also, they're Greek row and they know about hazing. That's true. Well, that goes back to me, in my opinion, to what Steve said, that maybe they thought at first, as did Hunter, that this was a prank. I could see this being pulled as a prank. Okay. And that's why this Hunter was kind of calm in the beginning of this, and then comes in, goes through, knocks on the door, nobody's answering, and then says, "Get out now." Okay. So yeah, that's very possible too. There was another creator who had a theory that they went to the Best Western nearby until the morning. I don't know about that one, Mittens. Yeah. I mean, they had friends. They were very good friends with the neighbor right next door, the girl that got on the phone. They could have went to her house and said, something happened in our house, yo, and I don't know what to do. I'm freaking out. Can we just hang out here? And you know what I mean? Welcome, John. Thank you for joining us. I'm in Mississippi, and not everyone is a hunter. You're above the Mason-Dixon line. We have more hunters down here than anywhere. That's very true, John. Very true. I can tell you that because my family's in Alabama, and I know exactly what you're saying. LR says, I also thought maybe they left that night and came back to try roomies again. When they got no response, they called Hunter, told him what's up, come over. Yeah, I think that if they left wherever they were trying to get a hold of them by calling, no answer, texting, no answer. You know what I mean?
Exactly, Mikey. I agree with that. I think that's kind of in a direction I was trying to go earlier when I said they needed a man or somebody to be there. Kids nowadays. And my daughter, I understand her situation. She was hit by a car. So she's like, I don't want to drive for a while.
And like you said earlier, that these girls' fathers probably did a lot for them. They're used to that. Well, we know for a fact that, Dylan's dad was a rough and tough type guy and probably handled a lot of situations for her. So,
and I'm not trying to say I don't want anybody to think that I'm like downing them or anything like that. I'm a daddy's girl. I could go to my daddy and, ask for
Yeah.
anything and, he'd be on it. And I think that's probably why it popped in my head.
No, it makes sense. It
Because I
really
would have been
does.
like, you know what? I'm not leaving this room. I don't know what happened out there, but I know something bad happened. I need somebody here with me before I go down this road.
Yeah. No, I get it. And it makes sense, Mom Bear. It makes a lot of sense. Annie says again, there's no less than 8 people in that house during the murders. 4 victims, 2 survivors, and 2 unknown male blood. Yes, that's true. I have to agree with you. There was another statement I was just going to throw up too. And I lost it. Kaylee shot some weapons with her dad. Yeah, I think Kaylee, that's why I know for a fact that Kaylee fought back. God bless her. Same with Anna. I think everybody did except for Maddie. And I do believe that Maddie was probably sleeping or passed out per se. And that might be why. And that would be the only reason why. I think she's the only one that may have been asleep at that point, possibly. Oh, yeah, I know. I know, Annie. It's going to be interesting for sure. Oh, 100%, Michelle. It's horrible. I've been around it many a times. And that's why I think that if they stayed, that was one of the things that made me wonder if they may have left to go next door or to the other friend's house, maybe in the apartments, because of that situation right there. Because if they would have stayed in that house, you'd have known something was up. Okay. Welcome, True Crime Unraveled. Good to see you today. Remember the photo with them all dressed up in blood, knives, and such fake blood. Maybe they thought it was. Well, that's what Steve was saying, Leslie, is that they very possibly in the very beginning could have thought that it was a prank. You know what I mean? So, because it happened all the time. They pranked each other a lot, you guys. So there's that. You have a question, Miss Tomboy? Please ask your question. Yeah, and I'm not saying that it's fact that they left, guys. It's just a theory that I have, maybe. Or they sat in that room scared to death and waited until they finally got a hold of Emily or Hunter, who were probably sleeping, and finally answered in the phone. Or, maybe that's what that whole text, that bro, like, why are you bugging me? It's early. You know what I mean? Yeah, they could have stayed there. They could have. But saying that they went to someone else's place, that means even more people knew something was wrong, and they don't call either. Nah. Well, not necessarily though, SRB. They could have been sitting there talking about what to do and trying to figure out, and knowing that there have been pranks there. Do we do this? Do we do that? Who do we call? Do we call this person? And they could have been making text messages and calling other people before calling 911 because they didn't want to bring police in if it wasn't that type of a situation. Maybe. I'm just saying that was just my theory and my opinion on that. It doesn't mean it's anything, you guys. It's just an opinion. Maybe it's like the Ozark series and the whole town and Brian was involved and they all just going on with the script. All of them, including, I don't know. That's a lot. That's a lot, Leslie, but it could be. You never know. I've seen crazier things. There would be fun. Yeah, there should be. 100% there should be. Between the murders and 911 released 2, we haven't seen. No, but you never know, Alicia. With what we've been seeing lately, we may. Bro is be right over. Oh. See? You learn something new every day. Thank you, Angel. I did not realize that. I don't know. I still don't think, but no, it's okay. It's absolutely okay. this was a reach, guys. It was a bit of a reach when I said that they may have left, okay, and came back. It's just an opinion that I was thinking about the situational stuff with it. Maybe they very well could have just stayed there the whole night, talking between themselves, trying to reach his roommates, trying to reach somebody, and at some point finally said, "We need to get somebody over here and figure out what the hell happened," because they didn't want to leave the room. Yes, Tomboy. Did I miss something you said? I'm looking. So on the 911 call, she states that at 4 a.m. she saw someone, and she tries to, at the house. How is that lining up with the PCA? Xana was up until after 4 on TikTok, and BK was doing a 3-point turn. It doesn't. That's the whole problem, Tomboy. It doesn't at all. I've come to at this point, I've come to the conclusion that the PCA is garbage as far as I'm concerned. Seeing the text messages and this and that and everything that has been debunked within the PCA, it's just not a worthy document anymore, in my opinion. That's truly how I feel on that. Oh, no, I get it, hon. You're okay. Well, that has been clarified, Sassy, via, Olivia, Kaylee's sister, posted on Facebook, in the Facebook group that she was in, that's screwed means that they were scared. Because she supposedly spoke to Dylan and asked that question, and that's what it meant, was that they were scared. I'm glad you're talking about this. Did DM or NK try calling Jack? They did try to get a hold of those two. I don't know. That was never brought out, Michelle. Now the other two girls tried to for quite a bit that night, but those two I do not know. And at 4:12, Xana types queen on a TikTok comment. Yes. I still don't understand what that meant, Annie. I don't think I ever will. Welcome, Horse. Good to see you. That'd be a bit much, I think, Leslie, but yeah, you never know. No, the PCA, and absolutely, the PCA was definitely not a factual document, and that is what has caused so much bullshit in this case, you guys. I truly believe that at this point. Yes, there were timestamps on those texts, Tomboy. I do remember. Like 4:24, 4:32. I remember seeing the times. No, and that's what caused, in my opinion. We were told you need to follow the PCA. You need to follow the PCA. You need to follow the PCA. It wasn't factual, and it caused a lot of problems. Not to mention the gag order causing many, many more, in my opinion. There you go, Tomboy. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Cassie. Those are crazy, though. Yeah, Annie, thank you so much for that, too. Well, thank you for welcoming, Horse Alicia. Welcome to the Dago program. All right, guys. You give snippets of info during a 911 call. You're rushed. She's not going to say, well, at 3:46, I saw this. No, she's going to give an estimated time. Right. Good point. And he says 4:20 through 4:22 are the calls to the girls by Dylan. Then text with Bethany until 4:25. But at the same time, Annie, and you know what I'm about to say, we're told that at 4:20, he's in his car gone. So, some of that time stuff is a little messed up as far as I'm concerned. Right. Miss Sherry says, I said from the beginning that the PCA is nothing but LE interpretation. Right. Welcome, Robert. So there is that. I think we're done with this at this point. There's nothing left there. Right, hold on. Oh, what time we got here? 3. Okay, let me see something here real quick. Damn it, Vinny. Hold on. All right, so we're going to watch this hopefully quickly. Benny just dropped this, and you know I love Benny, so this is in regards to the same thing. So bear with me, guys, as we review this.
Ready for this year's biggest trial. I'm Benny Politan. Thank you so much for joining us tonight here on Closing Arguments. Great to have you aboard, and wow.
This just came out 2 hours ago, so here we go real quick. My apologies.
This is a big show, a big night, some new information, and we're really learning something. I think getting an understanding of what was happening in that house. And of course, I'm talking about the 4 students from Idaho, the victims in the case, Ethan, Xana, Maddie, and Kaylee. It was brutal. The scene was brutal, but there were also survivors in that house. Survivors who made it through and now continue to live with the memory of what happened to their friends. It's really, I mean, go back to the crime scene, that house, and you think about it, you know, where they were in their lives and what was on their minds, and it was a weekend, and it was all so positive, everything that was happening in their lives. And then in an instant, it was all gone, taken for no reason, seemingly, other than the thrill of a kill. Which makes you angry and sad all at once. Now, one thing that we know, according to investigators, if you believe their evidence, right, what they've alleged, is that the man that they've charged with this killing drove by that house, drove by the scene before anyone made a call to 911. Think about that for a second. This brutal, according to prosecutors, this brutal murder takes place. The killer does what he does inside, leaves, then comes back in the morning, and everything is the same. There's no police cars, no ambulances, no crime scene tape, just the house. Until finally, that 911 call is made, and these kids, I call them kids, they're in college, had to describe the unthinkable in that call and had to make sense of what they were seeing and experiencing. It was nothing that they expected. No one would expect it.
Welcome, Rhode Island. It's been a while. Good to see you. We can't be certain that it was Anna on TikTok. True. Or that Maddie and Kaylee made those unanswered calls to Jack. True, too. Would they have checked their phones for fingerprints? Highly unlikely, and I do agree. Good point.
But it's just, you know, it's the morning. You wake up, oh, it was a big Saturday night. And then 4 people are dead. They're non-responsive. You have no idea what happened to my friend. And then you've got to call 911, and there's like this collective group of people who are there at that moment. And I think they're all trying to figure out what's going on. And in the midst of it, you can feel and hear.
Just a reminder, guys, please make sure to hit the like button, share it out. And of course, there's a link pinned in the chat at the top. Make sure to hit the like button. Jump on over to Mama Bears, hit the like button over there. Subscribe if you haven't. Share it and hit the notification bell over there. It just takes a second. And you guys are welcome to hang out there or here. We're all here together, so it doesn't matter. So please do that as well. And I appreciate it. So does Mama Bear. Thank you so much.
The impact this is having on them. And my guess is this impact has continued for all. So I'm going to play for you the 911 call. I will warn you that it's extremely emotional and difficult, but it's It's the reality of what happened. It's evidence.
Do you want me to skip this part, guys, since we've heard it twice now? Or do you want me to let it play? Let me know. Thank you, don't dox me.
Thank you, hon.
I can skip the call part, or we can just let it roll. Skip. Okay. That's kind of what I thought, Alicia. Hold on.
The address.
The 911 call. It is raw. It is jagged. A searing, unvarnished truth that no camera could ever hope to capture. Every breath, every cry, every tremor in the voice reveals a reality so cruel, so brutally honest, it cuts deeper than anything fiction could devise. The terror of that night cannot be cleanly packaged, wrapped in a bow, or distilled into a simple, digestible narrative. It is ugly. It is painful. It is the kind of horror that shakes.
Welcome, Peaky. Yeah, yes, critical. I agree with you on that to some extent. And good to see you, Peaky. Thanks for joining.
You to your deepest core. These were not adults. They were children, still clinging to the fragile threads of innocence when the world was violently torn from them in an instant. In closing, let us face the uncomfortable truth. Had the 911 call been made the moment the accused left that house, it would not have saved anyone. Nothing would have changed. So we ask respectfully, please do not waste your energy pointing fingers at those who could not have prevented it. When I hear those words, what I hear is the family of Kaylee saying to the survivors, to Dylan, to Bethany, listen, it's okay. You know, you couldn't have changed anything. Don't carry that burden with you the rest of your life. You have enough that you have to carry with you, having survived this awful attack. I'm sure that's the message they're sending. I am sure of it. All right, let's bring in our think tank. Joining us tonight, criminal defense attorney, former prosecutor Al Wunsch III. Also with us, criminal defense attorney Darnell Crossland and family law attorney Jennifer Brandt. Great to see everyone tonight. I think this gives us sort of a preview of the tone of what this trial, Al, is going to be like for everyone inside that courtroom, every witness who has to testify, and really for the community as they hear all of us together for the first time, the details and the horrors of what happened inside that home.
Absolutely. But first, Erin Go Bra, happy St. Patrick's Day to everyone. And it's very tragic listening to that 911 tape and listening to what was going on. And, you know, something I know, Vinny, you and I have discussed this numerous times. Parents have to tell their kids that, you know, when in doubt, dial it out, 911. If there was ever a situation where you just have any.
In my opinion, Annie, some of that is part of the propaganda that they put out from the beginning, in my opinion. Just saying.
Any inkling that there's something wrong, don't be afraid to dial 911. We have to teach this to our kids. We have to let them know that this is what needs to be done under these circumstances. You know, I mean, bully to the parents that are, you know, saying, okay, nothing would have changed and everything else. And that is remarkable. That's just an excellent, you know, very, very fortunate way that they're looking at it for these poor survivors of this nightmare. But, you know.
That's another good point too, 12 gauge, because that has happened too a lot. That's true. Welcome, by the way.
When this happened, make the call. as I said, when in doubt, dial it out, 911. That's what we need to take from our lesson from this horrendous circumstance, this horrendous case, this horrible situation. Let's use it as a valuable lesson to parents when their kids go away to school or when they're home or whatever. Don't be afraid to call 911, regardless of the situation, regardless if you're drunk, regardless if you're high. If your life is in danger or you think your life is in danger, when in doubt, dial it out, 911.
Darnell, the raw
Good point,
emotion
Alicia.
in that call and the reaction, you can feel it. I've heard a lot of 911 calls through the years. Sometimes it's made by the killers themselves. I've seen that in spousal situations more than once. So you don't get much from those. But here you really capture the essence of the terror, the essence of the heartbreak. And I think the Gonzalez family put it best is where, that last thread of innocence that these kids had was just ripped from them.
Yeah, well, I would agree. Obviously, it was horrible, and it was emotional, but it was emotionally confusing to me. And from an investigatory standpoint, although the 911 operator was doing her job trying to stop the kids from passing the phone around and trying to assess, I think, whether someone was clinging for life and needed help, I think what happened is, to me, she cut off the story. It seemed like there was something trying to be revealed, as opposed to, screaming, there's blood, he just stabbed her. The girl was saying that there was a man here. The girl was saying something happened at 4 a.m. The girl was saying, let me tell you the story. And the operator was saying, almost, I don't want to hear the story. Just tell me what.
No, that was Kim. That was Hunter. He was saying, get out, after he got into Xana's room and saw what happened. They put the CC, a closed caption on it, and that's what it was reading too.
What's going on now? So it left me wanting to hear more about the story. So it definitely was emotional, but it appeared that there's more here. Like perhaps they not only were drinking, but they knew someone was in the house. Night, and something happened. So I didn't hear that rest of the part of the 911 story.
I believe Dylan saw. I believe Dylan saw the killer, and saw a killer with bushy eyebrows. That's the way she described it. I think what's important to that moment that you picked up on there, Darnell, is that if someone tries to attack her credibility about whether or not she did see someone that night, she is saying it in the 911 call, and there seemed to be no doubt in her voice in that moment that she had seen someone in the house and wanted to tell the operator about what she had seen.
That's absolutely
Jennifer
true,
Brandt,
Critter.
this is I think a preview of what a lot of the testimony may sound like, at least emotionally, for those who are peers, friends, roommates of the victims who are going to have to testify in this case.
Right. I mean, Vinny, we have to keep in mind, these are kids, these are college kids. And while none of us would really know how to handle a situation like that, you can certainly imagine that kids, in college, having fun, going out, partying, coming home late hours, it wasn't so unusual that, their roommates came in late. It may not have even been unusual that there was somebody in the house. So, as to calling 911 earlier or anything like that, they had no experience, and none of us should have any experience with something like this. But you can hear when they found her and how upset they are. It's just, you do hear the emotion, and it is an emotional situation. I mean, the trial is going to be horrific if these kids have to get up there and testify and talk about what they saw, what they observed, how they found their friends, their roommates. It's just a horrible story all around. So we're starting to hear a little bit of, we've heard a lot from Koberger, and we've heard a lot from his defense team and the technicalities about the trial. But now we're really hearing about the victims and the situation and what happened that night. So
absolutely. And the observations and where everyone was is important part of this story in proving this case. And these are going to be fact witnesses who have to talk about their friends, but also talk about what they saw, what they heard, when they saw it, where they were, all of that. They've got to relive that night. And I think there's one word to really describe the feeling. It was fear, Al. It was fear in thinking about what could have been happening there, because there's text messages back and forth. We know about all those communications in the moments after.
That could be too, Horse, not thinking for sure, not knowing exactly what happened. That could be something you just don't know.
She sees the man with the bushy eyebrows, and then finally in the morning, the discovery of someone's body.
And that's what I'm trying to bring out with regards to, there was fear. This wasn't just something where they saw someone in the house and then, oh, well, it could have been anybody. There was abstract fear, absolute fear in these roommates, and they should have then called 911. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm not saying they would have been able to save anyone. I'm not saying anything along those lines, but their lives were in danger themselves at that instance. They should have called 911. They may have gotten a head start on trying to catch this guy, catching him within the vicinity, and everything would have been moving quicker with regards to this investigation. I have to challenge a little bit with regards to what Darnell had said, because the 911 operator is not necessarily
Make sure we're respecting each other's opinions, guys. That's all we ask in here. It's the only rule. Respect each other's opinions and treat each other with kindness, please, and thank you.
Beat me to it.
interested in the story. She's interested in knowing whether or not someone's still breathing, if someone's hurt, if they need to do any type of first aid or things along those lines. And that's the principal focus, is that she keeps asking, what's happening? Is the person breathing? Is the person alive? That's the function of the 911 operator, not to do the investigation of a detective and ask, so what did you see earlier in the night? That's not the point. The point is, let's get the help we need to this victim who's lying there and not breathing.
The neighbor next door was the one that said that. And it was because Dylan was telling her that. She was trying to explain it. Dylan tried to explain it to 911, but she was sticking to, which is protocol. She was sticking to the situation at hand. That's what they're supposed to do.
And I think the exception to that might be if there's someone on the loose, right? To get if at the moment someone did something, someone is fleeing from the scene, but that wasn't the case in the morning. If there was an initial call, then that information would be extremely significant because the killer would be in the vicinity of where everything was happening. Whereas here it is hours later in the morning. Darnell, I'll give you the last word. Go ahead.
Yeah. So Al probably missed that part. I was saying she did her job. That was good, but I would just be interested in hearing more. And that's what I was saying. But not that she should have elicited more. That's all I was saying.
Right. I got it. And you know what? That's the way the jury's going to think too. If they hear that in the beginning of the case, you're going to be like, okay, I want to hear more from that witness. Think Tank staying with us. When we come back, we're going to talk about American student Sudiksha Konanki, who is missing in the Dominican Republic. The latest in that, some new video in that case, plus coming up next hour.
Tonight on Vinnie Politan investigates the shooting of Kentucky Judge Kevin Mullins by the sheriff. Is it all connected to a civil lawsuit involving an extortion for sex scheme in the courthouse? Tonight, we investigate.
Join Court TV's Vinnie Politan with the latest and breaking true crime stories. Now.
All right. So that's all they put out as far as Idaho goes there. Hold on. Give me 1 second, guys. Just trying to get these things to load up.
Hey, crime mobsters.
Sorry.
Oh, I was just saying hi to crime mobsters.
Steven, welcome, my friend. All right, this is another thing that dropped last night. In regards to what we're talking about, just to stick with the topic here to finish it up. Hold on. Have a good day, 12 Gauge. Thank you for joining us.
I'm joined now by Gigi McKelvey. She's host of the very popular podcast, Pretty Lies and Alibis. And Gigi is a friend of the show. All right, Gigi, the online speculation is just ramped into overdrive because for 2.5 years, this has been under gag. I still don't know why it's been under gag. I'm frustrated that this has been under gag. I feel like it's led to so much consternation and angst and so much attacking of these two surviving roommates. But what is the biggest takeaway that you get from hearing this call?
Man, first of all, I've listened to it numerous times since it came out, and every single time, Ashley, it just hits you hard. The absolute panic and terror in their voices is so palpable. I think that people just don't know what to think. And I think, like you say, with the delay in releasing this, it's caused so much speculation and rumor when, if you listen to it, there really isn't anything in that call that would have been detrimental to Brian Kohberger's case, in my opinion. I've seen everything from why didn't they check on the two roommates? Why didn't they mention they saw blood? We don't know if that door was opened. We don't know if that gentleman looked under the door and just saw enough to know this is bad. The speculation, though, it is off the charts, and it's very hard to read. And I imagine for the families and the surviving victims as well.
Boy, I sure hope that the haters online who have been ruthless to these girls, especially to Dylan, eat their words or worse. The treatment that these two surviving roommates have been given over the last 2.5 years is just indescribable. But you can tell that they are confused and terrified and mystified all at the same time. You cannot act that well on a 911 call. One thing I wanted to ask you about, we now know that the prosecution is going to call these two surviving witnesses as witnesses on the stand. We also know that two other people who were there, the neighbors, if you're looking at the house, the neighbors to the right, they were there as well on that call. Their initials are H, J, and EA. What gaps do they need to fill in? What is still missing from this tape that these four witnesses at least need to fill in?
I think for their roommates, what led them to believe something was wrong? Did they go to the door and knock and just not get an answer? And is that out of character for the roommates to not, after some banging on the doors, wake up and, maybe you're a little hungover, but you wake up? And then what led to the neighbors coming over? And once the gentleman was in the house, we know they all kind of went in, but he seemed to be the one that was in charge of trying to make contact with these roommates. What did he see? Did he get the door open? Did he look under the door? I just think, and I think they're going to be one of the first witnesses on the stand, these group of young people, just to establish that 911 call is going to be one of the very first exhibits that's going to be admitted. And I think that's going to fill in a lot of these gaps that we have as far as what was seen. Did you see blood? Were they covered? We just don't know. And maybe he didn't see that. Maybe he saw just enough. Yeah. Perhaps if he looked under that door to say, this is bad, get out.
Yeah, Steve Gonzalez, the father of Kaylee, thinks that maybe he saw something and the bodies were all tangled up in blankets and it was dark with blackout blinds, maybe. But I don't think that they saw what was really there, or the reaction would have been a lot different. I also want to know what exactly was the last thing that the male voice saw before he said, let's get out, get out, get out, get out, whether it was upstairs on the 3rd floor or the 2nd floor, Xana's room. Gigi, I got to wrap it there. Come back again. Thank you for this.
Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find News Nation on your screen. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button.
One moment. Okay, you guys. So there is that. Mom Bear, anything to add to any of that?
Nope.
Can roommates, etc., talk to each other? I'm sure they can. Yeah, I'm sure they have too, Michelle. If there wasn't all this hidden stuff and just lay it all out there, but then it wouldn't let people write books, do interviews, make money, make all talk about over and let more students. Yeah. No, I understand, Leslie. I agree. Hang on one moment here. One moment. Hold on here. He says the real key here is Kohberger was not a match to any of the DNA recovered. That's a good point, and it's a huge point actually. Just saying. Where did it go?
Well, have fun, Leslie and Billy. Love you too.
Mother, thank you always so kind and interacting with me nicely. Love you both. Got to get tours. Okay. No worries, dear. Have a good day. Thank you for joining us as always. Hold on, guys. All right, we've been here for 15. That's long enough. All right, guys, let's see if we can get some laughs out of us here before we end this up for the day. You might see me tonight too. Boo, 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 boo. Probably not Mom Bear because she has to sleep early, but maybe me, depending on what the boss lady says. So let's see if we can get some laughs before we leave here. Leave here in a good mood. I really appreciate it. Don't be taking off either, folks. You deserve to laugh too. Just hang out. At least laugh at one. Okay. Yeah, maybe Alicia. We might do that tonight. But if no, I understand. Absolutely, Michelle. I understand. No worries. We'll see, Miss Alicia. See if I can make your day for you. All right, guys. Let's, like I said, let's get some laughs here and then get out of here.
Oh, Lord.
Oh, that's my God.
Oh, whoa. That was close. Oh my gosh.
Come on. I need to talk to you. Down.
What the hell was that?
Bloody hell, George, don't do that.
Oh my God.
She just sat down and said, nope. I'm going.
Oh my God.
Oh, I do that to my kids all the time.
I've thought about one of these days picking up one of those virtual reality things and doing it with you in here, because you guys know how my reactions are to most things. They're very animated.
It'd be hilarious.
Can you imagine me in one of them? I thought about that'd be a hell of a show, I think.
It would be funny.
Please don't make any sudden moves.
Hold on. What in the absolute hell?
What? Stupid mask.
Holy crap!
think that's definitely a spider, though. Oh my God, Grace, there's a spider. Grace, there's a spider. Oh my God.
La cabane! La cabane! Non, 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 non! Ah, si qu'on était ma merde au cul!
Oh my God. Why was there 4 guys in the shower all together?
You didn't hear me. I said bird.
Whoa.
Oh my God!
Nope. Oh, shit.
my God.
I almost died.
Oh, you're lucky, buddy. Oh, do it. Let's see that combo tank. We're done with this. Let's go.
How'd you have people at your house?
Yeah, tonight.
Do I know these people?
That bullshit.
Oops.
He's not reacting.
Aw, poor baby.
No.
Holy shit.
Good morning, buddy. Hi. Hello. Ooh. Sorry.
Who you smiling at? Judy.
Saya dia muat lagi. Awak, saya pegou.
See, can you let see now, gangster?
Good God. I don't think he liked the snake.
I don't think so.
Just a little.
An earthquake?
Careful.
Got to be an earthquake.
Yeah,
Either
that's
there,
what I was
it's either an earthquake or they got some super busy neighbors. That's all I'm saying.
Oh
Oh my god.
Let's see that flag. Am I in your tire?
So yeah, this is our pasta water. No! Oh, it's fake. No. Oh, that's right. I want it. Oh, you.
Oh, that's not cool.
Mother.
Dude, come in. How many times? You me see it?
All right, Miss Charlotte, you have a great day. Thank you so much for joining us, dear. Oops. And he still didn't hit him. Damn. Hold on. That made me dizzy. What the hell just happened? Whoa. I did that to my sister. Screamed like that. Opened my car door. I thought she was going to kill me. And well, after she couldn't breathe right away. Jeez. Hey, Chris. Good to see you, buddy.
What the f***?
I think she's a bit scared. Yep, out the door she goes.
Yep. Oh. Holy crap.
Wow.
Okay, stay there. I'll bring you.
Nope.
No, I leave the way it is.
That poor
That's
cat.
just going on its own. But it's been going for ages. Tell me the wind's doing this. There's no wind. There's no wind. The frig is happening.
Okay, haunted park. Absolutely, Leslie. No worries, dear. Holy shit. No way.
What time is it?
2:05 a.m.
Will something please close the door? If there's anyone here, if there's anyone in here, please close the door.
Thank you.
Sorry, I don't know why I disconnected that. Hold on.
No!
Oh!
Oh, okay, you're getting.
Whoa! Look at him coming over the bridge.
My name's Arden. You're.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Well,
Oh, ow. Whoops.
你再给他喂一下。耶！ There we go.
Oh.
That's scary. Oh! You good?
That's why you shouldn't.
Let's go!
Oh my!
Lisa, Lisa!
Oh, oh. Oh, whoops. There you go. Ow. Dang.
that is some seriously scary shit to be in a fire engine when it's sliding on the ice. I'm telling you right now. Nope, because you don't know if you're going to stop, and that's a big, big boom when you hit something.
Yep. That's how I picture my dad when he was driving semis.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
5, 5, 5.
Oh.
You're all right, you're all right.
What good reason was there to do that?
Not sure.
I swear to God.
You're all right, boys? You good? Yeah.
I hate those gates just for that reason.
He comes close to you. Just don't look at the eyes.
Take him on the one play with it.
Aw. Well, thank you for stopping by, Canadian. It was good to see you, sweetheart.
Hey guys, I just thought I would pop by. I can't watch these funny posts. It'll kick out my PTSD like crazy. I broke my tibia. Oh, I'm sorry. I just didn't think. Sorry, I would never imagine that, but my apologies. I get it. I understand so much. Appreciate you very much, though, for joining us today, and hopefully we'll see you more often. Good to have you here. Be careful, dear.
You good, man?
Oh.
Are you leaving Dax as well? Or is she saying bye to Canadian?
You too, my dear. You too. Great to see you. I think Doc's was saying bye to her.
No. She said, see you soon, Dick.
Oh, okay. Sorry, Doc's me. We'll see you soon.
Bye,
Thank you for joining
hon.
us today.
Thank you.
Ho, 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 ho!
She bounced back and hit her.
1100. Oh my God!
Oh! Said damn!
That many a time.
Get that!
He said, I can't stop. Oh.
Oh my God.
What a dumbass.
Back up, back up, back up! Damn it! Gotta go. My car. Oh. No.
Let's see. Here we go.
Sabe disso? Vai me dando um vídeo para os cachorros. Sai daí, meu. Vem cá. Vem, meu.
Ó, o menino, o cachorro tá em cima do menino. Quem você tá arrumando aí, senhor? Ô, Jesus, vai só.
Main floor. And a corporate audio floor is included in your ticket and may be picked up.
Tomboy snorted. Oh. Oh. Oh, that's what Ghost does.
Tem quadra, mano? Tem, mano. Tem da casa.
Oh, yep.
All right, guys, that's going to do it for today. Thank you guys so very much for joining us. I hope you got a little smile on your face at least. Appreciate you guys being here with us. As always, Mama Bear, thank you so much for joining us. Please make sure, if you have not yet done it, to pop over real quick before you walk out that door. Hit the like button, share out Mama Bear's side of things, subscribe, and hit the notification bell if you haven't. Please make sure to do it here on your way out as well. Much love to all of you guys. Don't forget to love yourselves, love each other, and don't change a thing about yourselves. You are the beautiful people, and hopefully, guys, I will see you a little bit later. Thank you for being here, Mama Bear. Appreciate
You're welcome.
everybody
Bye,
else.
guys. I'll see you later.
See you soon, folks. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Life's a journey, let's make every moment shine. Together we share our hearts so intertwined. Each time you tune in, we're dancing in sync. With every story told, just let your soul think. A little laughter, some love, we're flying high. As we wrap up this episode, it's not goodbye. News on the airwaves, spreading joy and cheer. Thanks for being with us, we'll see you right here. Kick back, take a breath, leave your worries behind. This podcast is magic, a treasure you'll find. With every moment shared, we light up the way. Join us next time for more laughs and play. A little laughter, some love, we're flying high. As we wrap up this episode, it's not goodbye. News on the airwaves, spreading joy and cheer. Thanks for being with us, we'll see you right here. Kick back, take a breath, leave your worries behind. This podcast is magic, a treasure you'll find. With every moment shared, we light up the way. Join us next time for more laughs and play. So hit that subscribe, keep the vibe alive. We're riding this wave and it's set to thrive. With smiles all around, let's seize the day. In this podcast family, worries drift away. A little laughter, some love, we're flying high. As we wrap up this episode, it's not goodbye. News on the airwaves, spreading joy and cheer. Thanks for being with us, we'll see you right here. So gather round friends, it's time to reflect. In this joyful moment, what's next to connect? Let's cherish the laughter, the joy that we spread. Together we'll thrive until our hearts are fed. See you next time with stories anew. Can't wait to share more with all of you. So hit that subscribe, keep the vibe alive. We're riding this wave and it's set to thrive. With smiles all around, let's seize the day. In this podcast family, worries drift away. So hit that subscribe, keep the vibe alive. We're riding this wave and it's set to thrive. With smiles all around, let's seize the day. In this podcast family, worries drift away. So gather round friends, it's time to reflect. In this joyful moment, what's next to connect? Let's cherish the laughter, the joy that we spread. Together we'll thrive until our hearts are fed. See you next time with stories anew. Can't wait to share more with all of you. See you next time with stories anew. Can't wait to share more with all of you.